You're listening to GWP Live Severe Weather Coverage. It's Monday, April 13th, 2026, and I'm Jacob Fulmer, and today we've got some ongoing severe weather across our region, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into it. Everything is going the way it should, and it appears that it is, so we'll go ahead and we'll get into some of the active severe storms that we are tracking at this point in time. So this was a little bit unexpected. As we talked about, there was the possibility that a few isolated storms could develop, and we certainly have that. A tornado watch was issued across the northwestern portion of our viewing area. That continues until 11 p.m. this evening, and we have two active tornado warnings in our viewing region here across northwestern Missouri that we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into. This first tornado warning is not in Vernon County, so that, of course, is good for our audience there in Nevada, but it does go in effect just north of the interstate, just to our west of Butler, Missouri, in Bates County. We currently got a tornado warning at this point in time, and this tornado has been confirmed. So storm spotters have confirmed that this tornado is on the ground. At 8:35, a confirmed tornado was located near Pleasanton, moving towards the east or northeast at 40 miles per hour. So again, this is an observed threat. An observed tornado has been confirmed. So if you are in any of these areas that are under the tornado warning, you need to take shelter in a tornado safe place. So of course, we're talking about the lowest level, most interior room of a structure. So that is where you need to go if you are in western Bates County in west central Missouri. This tornado warning again goes for a confirmed tornado until 9 p.m. So again, this is a radar confirmed tornado, or excuse me, we have ground truth, an observed tornado that was crossing the state line from Lynn County, Kansas into western Bates County in Missouri. So that is west of Interstate 49, confirmed tornado warning in effect until 9 p.m. So make sure that you take shelter if you are in that region. We also have another tornado warning just to the south of Kansas City, kind of getting into the suburbs. This is just to the west of Harrisonville, going into Cleveland, and we've also got Freeman, it looks like, is under this. Freeman, Missouri, that is under this tornado warning. And so this goes in effect for northwestern Cass County in the northwestern region of our area until 9:15. And so this is a radar indicated threat. So with the other one, we had some ground truth. We knew that there was actually a tornado on the ground. This one is radar indicated, meaning that it might not actually be on the ground, but again, it is still going to be a possibility here. So this is so as we mentioned, a radar indicated threat, but again, still something you want to take very seriously. Even if this storm is not producing a tornado right now, it certainly could very soon. And so this goes in effect for northwestern Cass County until 9:15 p.m. So at 8:38, which was our latest update, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Lewisburg in Kansas, moving towards the east at about 30 miles per hour. So of course, that was just around 15 minutes ago when we had that last update that came in. So now it has crossed into the state of Missouri, just to the southwest of Peculiar in Missouri. This is Interstate 49 that we have right here. So there's Interstate 49. There's, of course, the Kansas-Missouri state line. And so this storm is now crossing into that area here. So again, tornado watch does remain in effect across this area until 11 p.m. this evening. So that does include our northwestern 5 counties, including Kansas City, all the way down into Bates County. At this point in time, we do not have a watch for Nevada, as the storms have stayed to the north of that area at this point in time. We're also good for the rest of the viewing area, although some of these storms that are just to the south of Kansas City could start to move towards Warrensburg, towards the Lake of the Ozarks, Sedalia, Jefferson City, Columbia. Those areas could be at risk as we go into later this evening. We'll just have to see how much further these storms are able to go. They've already exceeded the expectation that we had for this evening, as there wasn't even an area outlined earlier today by the Storm Prediction Center. It was just recently that this was updated to show that there is now a slight risk for severe weather across this region. And again, we have already confirmed that we have been dealing with ongoing severe storms at this point in time. So let's go ahead and get an update here from the radar to see where we're at. So again, we've still got the storm just to the west of Butler with the tornado warning. This goes in effect until 9 p.m. So we've got just a few more minutes on this warning. So just a quick update at 8:46, the severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was 7 miles north of Hume, Missouri, moving 7 miles, so 7 miles to the north of Hume. That was moving towards the Walnut area. So now it's just to the northeast of Walnut, Missouri. And so, again, now the good news is we no longer have confirmation that this is on the ground. So this may not be on the ground at this point in time, but there is still rotation in the atmosphere, which means that very soon that it could start rotating. So of course that is something that we need to watch very closely as we go forward in time with this storm. So there's our potential rotation, and again, it's moving towards the northeast, so that could put Butler right in line. Currently, Butler is not under a tornado warning, as the warning is just to the west of Butler along Interstate 49 is kind of like the cutoff for this storm. But if the National Weather Service offices see a reason to continue, they will extend that for Butler. So you'll want to make sure that you're ready for the possibility along Interstate 49. We're getting some heavy rain and some showers across that region right now, but it is possible that things begin to intensify. So we're going to be watching that very closely. As we look here at the velocity here, this shows the different wind directions. This would indicate to us if we have any rotation that is currently going on in the atmosphere. And again, we'll notice that there's a little bit of rotation. So this is back when we had confirmation that there was a tornado. So somewhere around the Kansas-Missouri state line, there was a tornado on the ground. But again, at this point in time, we don't have any confirmation of whether or not it is. It appears that the rotation has weakened. And so, but that's kind of the area right here where these reds and these bluish colors meet up. That's where the rotation is. That's the area that could be producing the tornado. And again, we know at one point it was producing a tornado just to the east of US 69 in Pleasanton, just before you cross over into Missouri. At that point in time, we did have a tornado on the ground. That's when we first came on the live stream. We were talking about the fact that there was a confirmed tornado, and now we have a radar indicated tornado with this latest tornado warning, and that is because that rotation has weakened just a little bit. But there is the location of if we were to see another tornado occur. Again, at this point in time, it appears that we don't have a tornado, but again, these storms can cycle through, and sometimes we can start out with not really seeing any rotation, and then it can come back. Or sometimes we can start off with a tornado, and then it lifts up into the atmosphere, and then it comes back down. So that's always something that we have to watch very closely when we are dealing with these storms, because again, they're not necessarily, a tornado is not necessarily always on the ground. Sometimes it can cycle back through. So that is something that's very important to understand, of course. So we're watching that rotation very closely for the possibility of a tornado as it moves towards the east here, towards Butler at this point in time. Again, the big concern with this storm is going to be a tornado, but we're also dealing with some quarter-sized hail. So the risk is not only for a tornado, but we're also looking at the possibility of quarter-sized hail as well. When we go back to the radar picture, so here's where our hail would likely be at this point in time. So that is something that we're going to be watching for just to the west of Butler. So if the tornadic portion of the storm misses you, the hail core is going to be on the northern side of that. So if you actually see hail, that actually is a good thing. So that's actually a good thing if you see some hail, because that means, well, not necessarily maybe for your car if it's outside or for anything like that, but it is a good in the sense that the rotation is going to move north of you, because the hail means that the tornado is not where the hail is at. So that's always a really good indication. So if it's hailing where you're at, that's actually a good sign, because that means that the rotating storm itself is likely not headed towards your region here. So that, of course, is really good news. And okay, so we just got a new scan here from the radar. And so now that hook is becoming a little bit more prominent here. So it's very well possible that this storm is re-strengthening. If we go to the latest scan on the velocities, the good news is that we don't really see a strong rotation. We do have a broad rotation. Let's go ahead and highlight that for you. So kind of in this area, so that's where we're looking at the possibility of a tornado developing. Again, if I were to guess, this is probably not on the ground. But if you are in Butler, you probably need to be prepared because this warning could very well be extended. It's also very well possible that not only that the warning gets extended, but it's also possible that the storm cycles back through, and so we would need to be ready for the possibility of that. So again, tornado warning has not been extended, but it definitely could be for Butler, and if you're anywhere east of Interstate 49, you certainly need to be paying attention to this storm very closely. If you're to the west of Butler, of course, then you're dealing with the possibility of that storm. So we'll have to watch that very closely here. There's our rotation as of 8:55 when the latest scan came in. That's where we were at here with this radar. So that's what we're dealing with here. Looking at that other tornadic storm at this point in time. So this sometimes happens when we get really close to the radar side. It can get a little bit fuzzy at the radar. So we'll just kind of make that. So currently not seeing a strong area of rotation at this point in time. And okay. Let's go ahead and sometimes the warnings overlay. Okay. At this point in time, not seeing any strong rotation. Let's actually go back to that radar here. Yeah, so it doesn't look like we have a strong rotation on the tornado warning just to the west of Harrisonville. That warning has actually just been canceled, and really seems like that was the right decision to make, as again, it appears at this point in time that yeah, that was definitely probably the right move, I would say, because we currently don't really have a strong area of rotation where we still do with that storm there just to the west of Butler. So again, that's a tornado warning, and yes, that tornado warning will soon expire. The one that was in Cass County, now the one in Bates County has just been extended. So our Bates County tornado warning has just now been extended. So that is some new information that we have here as we're closing in on the top of the hour. If you're just tuning in, this is GWP live severe weather coverage here on the Great World Productions here. It is Monday, April 13th, and it is 9 o'clock Central Daylight Time, and we are currently dealing with a couple of active severe thunderstorms. One of them that we are seeing some potential rotation with just to the west of Butler, as we've just had a confirmed tornado that was on the Kansas-Missouri state line. We no longer have that confirmation at this point in time, but okay, we just had some new information that came into us, reported at about 7 minutes ago. Storm spotters are still tracking this storm, and they have reported that there is a funnel cloud. So as we mentioned, there is still some rotation with this particular storm, so it's not a huge surprise that we have seen a funnel cloud that has recently been spotted. But again, we have just gotten new information that, okay, so now it's a little too strong. So yeah, we've got new confirmation that a funnel cloud has been spotted just to the west of Interstate 49. So right in the area where we've got that hook echo, this storm is moving into Butler. So if you are in or around Butler, you're likely seeing some heavy rain, maybe even some small hail at this point in time. Quarter-size hail is still being reported from this storm. So it's very well possible that you're experiencing some hail if you're in Butler right now. But if you are there in Butler, Missouri, you'll want to take shelter immediately because this is an active tornado warning, an active situation that we are dealing with here for Bates County. So Bates County, Missouri, you need to take shelter. And let's see, it appears. So again, Butler, Adrian, those are some of the main areas that are under this tornado warning. So again, this goes for central Bates County in western central Missouri. We currently have a tornado warning. And again, we've got, well, it looks like we may have just even a couple of areas of rotation that we've got highlighted at this point in time. This appears to be the main area of rotation. So it is very well possible that we have a funnel cloud or a tornado potentially right over Butler, Missouri at this point in time. Yes, that is definitely a possibility. So that is why this tornado warning goes in effect for that area. So again, tornado warning and potential rotation is around Butler, moving into Butler probably at about this time. So you'll want to make sure to take shelter if you are in Bates County, because again, the velocities are indicating that we are seeing some rotation in and around the Butler area. There was the rotation at 8:58. We also know that here's the information that we got from the National Weather Service in Pleasant Hill, issued a tornado warning till 9:45 because at 8:53 a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 8 miles southwest of Butler. Again, that was about 10 minutes ago, so now it's moving into Butler because it's moving east at about 30 miles per hour. So again, that storm that is capable of producing a tornado is in this area just to the southwest of Butler, and the tornado will likely pass either through Butler or just to the south if it is on the ground. And again, that is a big if at this point in time. The latest information that we had from the weather spotters said that they had reported a funnel cloud. So again, if you are within the path of this tornado, if you're on the roadway, make sure that you try to get away from Butler. If you're on Interstate 49, my best recommendation is it really depends on where you're at. If you're kind of in this area, I would recommend going to the north just because you're so close to where the area of rotation is. And then if you're around Butler or just maybe a mile or two north of there, I would recommend going southbound on Interstate 49. So find the nearest exit, maybe the Butler exit if you have to, and then go due south on Interstate 49 because that's going to help you avoid this rotation. But again, if you're on the northern end of this, if you're dealing with heavy rain and hail, your best course of action is to go north in order to get out of the hail core or to just stay where you're at. If the hail has already moved through, then that means that the worst part of the storm for you has already passed. But again, that area is what we're concerned about for the tornado, again along Interstate 49, likely crossing the interstate now, or at least very soon. We're going to see that storm crossing the interstate line. So we're going to be tracking that very closely. Again, there is that rotation. Again, this hook echo that we're tracking, that's where we see tornadoes when we're dealing with the hook echo, is kind of on that eastern side of the hook, kind of makes a hook structure. So that's why we call it a hook echo. And then we've got some of this purple and white areas that's indicating some hail is going to be possible. And again, this warning goes for the potential of quarter-sized hail. Now, if you are to the east of this storm, let's say right now that you're, let's go ahead, let's back off that radar just a little bit. Let's say that you are in the Clinton area, or that you're in the Harris Truman Reservoir area, Warsaw. If you're in Lincoln as well, all of these areas just to the east of the warning, then you're going to want to watch the storm very closely. Of course, Clinton and Warrensburg, you are currently under that tornado watch that goes in effect until 11 p.m. So tornado watch across this area. We're going to go ahead and let's just go ahead and show you that area. So this area is where we have that tornado watch, and that includes the northwestern section of our counties, which is just to the south of Interstate 70 and in and around Interstate 49 through the Kansas City metro area. You're under that tornado watch that remains in effect until 11 p.m. for the possibility of storms that could produce tornadoes. And again, we're even looking at the possibility of severe thunderstorms like damaging winds, and also some large hail is going to be possible out of some of these storms as well. So that's what we're going to be watching very closely. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at a couple of the severe thunderstorms just to the north of our tornado warning. So we focused on that for quite a bit. Now let's go up to our latest severe thunderstorm warnings across the northwestern portion of the area. We've got one here across the state of Missouri at this point in time. And we are actually going to go into a very brief intermission at this point in time. All right, and we are back here on GWP Live's severe weather coverage. Again, it is April 13th, 2026. I'm Jacob Fulmer, and it's almost 9:15, so it's almost a quarter past the hour. And let's see, we're still having some. Hi, there we go. Now you can actually hear me. All right, welcome back to GWP Live's severe weather coverage. It is Monday, April 13th, 2026, and it is almost a quarter past the hour here on our live coverages. Again, we are tracking some severe thunderstorms that are moving across the area, including one tornado warning in our viewing area that we've been watching for about the last 35 minutes here, as we had a tornado that was confirmed around the state line. Then we had a funnel cloud that was spotted around Interstate 49 at this point in time. We don't, yeah. So at this point in time, some good news is the storm spotters that have been tracking this storm are no longer seeing, or at least they haven't been able to see this as they haven't been able to see a tornado. And based on what I'm looking at, this storm is likely on a weakening trend. So of course, that is some good news here. Just looking at, let's see, let's go to this one here. Yeah, so at this point in time, a little bit of rotation just to the east of Butler. So it is very well possible that we could still have a tornado on the ground, but I really doubt it, just based on how broad that circulation is. So where the reds and the greens meet up, that's where we have the rotation in the atmosphere. And any time that it becomes like a tighter circulation, that is a good indication that we have a tornado. And again, at this point in time, we don't really have that tight of rotation, and so that indicates that we are likely not experiencing a tornado on the ground. But again, just to the east of Butler, we do have a little bit of rotation. That's where the possible tornado is, and it's going to continue to move further towards the east here. Clinton is really the next city that is in line at this point in time, although Clinton, you're currently not under that tornado warning. And if this rotation does continue to weaken, which it looks like that it has started to weaken, it's very well possible that we may not see an extension with this. We've also got some hail that has been indicated by the radar. So that is something else that we have been tracking very closely. We've also had reports that this storm has been producing all different varieties of lightning. We've been dealing with just all types of different lightning. I mean, we've had different colors and different variations. Some of the bolts of lightning have been a little bit bigger, which can indicate more energy within each bolt. And then we've also had some purple lightning. Purple lightning, by the way, is actually the hottest lightning, is the hottest color that lightning can have. So that indicates that lightning is actually hotter than it normally is, which just shows how strong this supercell is at this point in time. So again, purple lightning, that's the hottest kind of lightning, and that has been reported in Bates County. We've also had reports of green lightning as well, which is an indication that there is hail. Anytime that you're dealing with green clouds, green lightning, that means that hail is being produced from the storm. And we've had reports of both green, yellow, purple, and white lightning from this particular storm. And again, but of course, the main risk with this storm is the potential tornado that we could be experiencing just to the east of Butler, where we do have that rotation at this point in time. We also do still have a severe thunderstorm warning across the Kansas City area, or just to the south in the suburbs here, including Lee Summit, but that has now been extended further towards the east, which now includes here in Pleasant Hill, as well as over to Madison. So this is now just to the west of Warrensburg at this point in time. We've got that along US 50, just to the west of Warrensburg under that severe thunderstorm warning. So let's go ahead and we'll take a closer look at the extended warning. This goes in effect for Cass, Lafayette, and Jackson counties in west central Missouri until 9:45 p.m. And so this storm did produce, or at least might have produced, a tornado. It did have a tornado warning earlier. We don't have any confirmation that there was a tornado, but there was a warning earlier for this storm. So it has a history of producing tornadic rotation. And so, but now the main risk is going to be 70-mile-per-hour wind gust, which is considered in that considerable threat category. So 70-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail. Again, this is radar indicated at this point in time, but a radar indicated considerable threat tag storm has now moved into the Pleasant Hill area and is continuing to move further towards the east along US 50, just to the south of Interstate 70. Odessa along Interstate 70 is clipped by this warning. But again, Lee Summit extending over to Pleasant Hill. We've got kind of this backwards C shape on the radar that indicates straight line winds. And again, we could be experiencing straight line winds of up to 70 miles per hour with this particular storm. That being said, again, we have a radar indicated threat, which means that there's no confirmation that we are dealing with these 70-mile-per-hour winds. And something else that I'm going to check here to see is, do we have a tornado possible tag or not? Sometimes we do not have. Okay, so again, this does not have a tornado threat. It did earlier, but at this point in time, we do not have a tornado possible tag. So that, of course, is good news. But again, we could still be looking at some very strong winds. Again, 70-mile-per-hour winds are going to be possible with this storm right here. So there's that Boeing segment right here. That indicates straight line winds of upwards of 70 miles per hour. So you'll want to take shelter really as quickly as you can across that region here. Let's look at some of the velocities. So yeah, it gets a little bit messy because we have that National Weather Service office so close to the radar. And so yeah, so we're getting, yeah, that's a it's pretty strong winds are very likely at this point in time, as we see a very prominent backwards C shape at this point in time. So that's where we have our strongest winds as indicated by the velocity. Again, the velocity is basically just a picture of what are the winds doing up in the atmosphere. And any time that we see these colors clashing, like we have these grays and reds, that's an indication that we have some sort of damaging wind line that's moving through. And so again, that's what we're dealing with. Something else that I am watching, this could just be because we're so close to the National Weather Service office, but looks like we could be getting a little bit of rotation just to the northwest of Lone Jack along US 50. So I would watch this area very closely. We could be looking at winds a little bit stronger than 70. But again, at this point in time, the warning goes for a radar indicated threat of 70-mile-per-hour winds. Let's see if we have any confirmation at this time. And so, yes, earlier today we did have a few reports of tornadoes that came from the storm. We had in Franklin County, Kansas, there was a spotter that confirmed a tornado. So we also had in Lynn County, Kansas, that was actually from this tornado. This is Lynn County over here, by the way. There was in Blue Mound, Kansas, there was reports of a rope tornado that passed through Blue Mound. That was at 8:09 p.m. Then in Miami County, Kansas, near Spring Hill at 8:16, there was a social media photo of a tornado on the ground. Again, that was near Spring Hill. And then at 8:18, near Hillsdale, there was a photo shared of a tornado on the ground looking northwest of where the spotter was located at. And again, that was in Miami and Lynn County, Kansas, where we had reports of a tornado. And then at 8:30, just before we started our live stream, the tornado warning in Bates County, that storm was producing a tornado 2 miles to the south of Pleasanton. Spotter reports a tornado crossing the road, so likely US 69. So if I had to guess, that report was around this area, just to the east of Mound City, south of Pleasanton, where we had a tornado reported at 8:30 p.m. So we've also had some hail reports as well. Earlier this evening, we had baseball-sized hail that was reported near Cottonwood Falls in Chase County, Kansas. And then we also had in Lyon County, Kansas, we had some 2-inch hail that was reported as well. So that is beyond severe limits. So we've also had at Franklin, Kansas, 2-inch hail was also reported there. So let's see. Just kind of going through all of these different reports. So this is actually a collection of all of the ones that I'm looking at. It's a collection of all of the severe storm reports that we've had today. And so it also includes quite a few elsewhere, but outside of our viewing area. So, like, there's also been some reports of severe weather in Texas, and we also had some large hail reported in Minnesota and Wisconsin of up to 3 inches in diameter. But at least here in Kansas, 2 inch hail, upwards of baseball size hail, was reported earlier today. As far as straight line winds, at this point in time, we have not had, or we did in Ottawa. Yeah, Ottawa and Franklin County, Kansas. There was damage to a roof and the wall of the T-Mobile store on South Main Street in Ottawa, Kansas. So yeah, a roof and a wall at the T-Mobile store was ripped off there in Ottawa, Kansas from some of these straight line winds. And those same straight line winds are now moving along US 50 just to the southeast of Kansas City, east of Lee Summit. And now the storm has passed through Pleasant Hill, where our National Weather Service is, that we're getting these alerts from. So again, if you are in any of these areas that we have mentioned across this area under that severe thunderstorm warning, you'll want to make sure to take shelter, because again, this storm is possibly producing winds of upwards of 70 miles per hour. That storm at 9:03 was located near Lee Summit, around the Lake Winnebago area to near Freeman. 70-mile-per-hour winds, also some penny-sized hail was possible when we looked at this, or when that warning was issued. So we're watching that. And then again, we also still have a tornado warning across eastern Bates County that we're still watching very closely until 9:45 p.m. The latest update at 9:16 says a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located 7 miles east of Butler, moving east at 45 miles per hour. So we're looking at a tornado and quarter-size hail. Again, this is a radar indicated threat, and so we've still got the hook on this storm just to the east of Butler that we are tracking very closely. So it looks like we're moving into some more rural locations across eastern Bates County, but again, still under that tornado warning, where we could be looking at possible tornado at this point in time there in Bates County. That warning continues until 9:45. So there it is, just to the east of Butler, where we could be looking at a possible tornado. That storm is now starting to move out of the warned area. So if you are across these areas to the east, including Clinton, you'll want to make sure to watch this very closely, because it is very well possible that places just to the north of Appleton City, Clinton, it's very well possible that you get extended under this tornado warning. So you'll have to watch this very closely, because again, we have already seen a tornado from this storm earlier around the Pleasanton, Kansas area. So that is something that we're still tracking at this point in time. This entire area is still under a tornado watch. These areas highlighted in that lighter yellow that extends across this entire area, that it goes down to the area's Truman Reservoir, going up to Warrensburg. It's just to the west of Sedalia. So Sedalia, you're currently not under this watch. This watch does include Kansas City, as well as some of the areas that have already been hit by some of these storms that we've had out there this evening. This tornado watch remains in effect until 11 p.m. at this point in time. Of course, we've also been tracking some other additional severe storms around the Cleveland area, Cleveland, Ohio, dealing with some storms at this point in time. That dry line sparked a few severe thunderstorms earlier today. We had some large hail across western Texas. Those storms have now fizzled out. So Texas, you look to be in the clear from those storms, but we're still dealing with storms across Ohio, across central Michigan. We've got a severe warning, and then we've got additional severe thunderstorm warnings across Wisconsin, Minnesota, and then those storms trail into northern Iowa as well, including, it looks like we've even got some tornado warnings in southeastern Minnesota at this point in time. But then again, that same clash between the dry and moist air has created these severe thunderstorms that we are now experiencing here in western Missouri, and that has prompted that tornado warning that remains in effect until 9:45 across Bates County. So we're going to be watching that very closely. And then again, we do still have that severe thunderstorm warning just to the southeast of the Kansas City area that does include, so we've still We've still got Cass, Lafayette, Jackson, and Johnson counties that are under this severe thunderstorm warning until 9:45. We're looking at the possibility of 70-mile-per-hour winds with this particular warning. Again, that is just to the west of Warrensburg along US 50, and it is just to the east of Interstate 49 and to the south of Interstate 70, with the main threat being 70-mile-per-hour winds. Again, there is a considerable threat tag with this storm at this point in time. 70-mile-per-hour winds, that's going to be the main threat, and also some small hail. Again, considerable tree damage is going to be possible. Damage is likely to mobile homes as well as roofs and outbuildings could be destroyed by some of these strong straight line damaging winds that we're dealing with out of this storm. And again, it has just moved east of the Interstate 49. The storm has already moved through Raymore, Pleasant Hill, Lone Jack. Those areas have already been impacted by this storm. So we're going to be watching that over the next several minutes here as we continue to get new information on this particular storm. And it looks like the latest information that we have is that that tornado warning will soon be expiring in Bates County. So the Bates County tornado warning will soon be expiring, but it looks like that we have now had that tornado warning has now been replaced with a new severe thunderstorm warning just to its east here. So a new severe thunderstorm warning has just been issued for Clinton, Missouri. So this is now an extension off of what we just saw from the Bates County tornado warning that has now expired. So let's go ahead and let's go into this new severe thunderstorm warning. It includes Henry, Bates, and Johnson counties until 10 p.m. At 9:20, a severe thunderstorm was located 9 miles west of Montrose or 10 miles east of Butler, moving east at 45 miles per hour. The main threats are going to be 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. So again, that is an extension off of the warning that we were just showing you earlier there in the Bates County area. So the Bates County tornado warning will be expiring within the next couple of minutes, and now we have an extension just to the east of Butler where the severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 10 p.m., newly issued. Again, we're looking at hail damage to vehicles and then wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. This is a radar indicated threat. So at this point in time, we don't have any confirmation that we are experiencing these hazardous winds. But again, it certainly is going to be a possibility here. So severe thunderstorm warning does remain in effect across this area until 10 p.m. for the possibility of 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. It looks like that we also, again, the storm does have a history of producing tornadoes, so we would not be surprised if this storm did regain the ability to have a tornado. So that's something that we're going to be watching very closely. We've also got the tornado or severe thunderstorm warning, excuse me. Yes, we've still got that severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect around the Pleasant Hill areas. That remains in effect for Cass counties as well as into Jackson counties, as well as yeah, so let's see. We've got Jackson, Cass, Lafayette, and Johnson counties under a severe thunderstorm warning still remains in effect until 9:45 for 70-mile-per-hour winds. So 70-mile-per-hour straight line winds, and even some hail is going to be possible with that warning. And then we have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued, as we mentioned. This one now extending just to the west of Clinton, or it includes Clinton, under that new severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect here. So let's go ahead and again, as we mentioned, severe thunderstorm warning for Henry, Bates, and Johnson counties until 10 p.m., 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. So we've got large hail and some straight line damaging winds with this storm that has now moved into Henry County. And then now we're dealing with across Cass and Johnson, Jackson, and Lafayette counties, we have 70-mile-per-hour winds with a considerable threat tag. So both of these warnings continuing for the next several minutes. So we will now move into a brief intermission, but we will keep the radar up for you, and we will be back in less than 5 minutes here. Brief intermission. All right, and we are back after a brief intermission here on GWP Live Severe Weather Coverage. It is Monday, April 13th, 2026, and it's just a little bit past half the hour here, or yes, on the bottom half of the hour here, and we are um, still dealing with some ongoing severe storms here. Again, at this point in time, we don't have any tornado warnings. So, of course, that is certainly some really good news here, just kind of some new developments here. So, we've got two active severe thunderstorm warnings across northwestern Missouri that does include our viewing area just to the east of Lee Summit. So, that is moving to the west towards Warrensburg along US 50 south of Interstate 70. So, we've got that active warning. That goes for 70-mile-per-hour winds is what the warning goes for, and it continues until 9:45. So a considerable threat tag with that storm, and then we had a newly issued before the intermission severe thunderstorm warning until 10 p.m. for Henry, Bates, and Johnson counties. And again, that goes for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail, and there is a possible tornado with this storm. This is the same storm that prompted the tornado warning when we first came on the air earlier this evening, less than an hour ago. There was a tornado that was reported around the state line, around the Kansas-Missouri state line, and so that, of course, is what led us to begin this severe weather live stream. So again, two severe thunderstorm warnings are ongoing at this point in time. We've been watching for those 70-mile-per-hour winds very closely here, and so we very well may still be dealing with it. So along this line, that's where the area of concern is, where we could be looking at 70-mile-per-hour winds. So that's going to be moving towards Odessa. Odessa, you're definitely next on in line for these storms. Within the next 5 minutes, I would say, you'll be dealing with those winds. And then again, Warrensburg just outside of the warning area, but we're still looking at that possibility of some of those storms moving there into Warrensburg very soon. And then just to the south of that, we've got that potential for, again, we've got that tornado possible tag, which means this storm could very quickly spin up a tornado, although we don't have reason to believe that it's on the ground at this point in time. But there it is. There's where the area of rotation is. It looks like it's just to the west of Clinton. But again, the rotation is broad enough to where the National Weather Service currently does not believe that we need a tornado warning. And so that, of course, is some good news. But again, at 9:20, a severe thunderstorm was located 9 miles west of Montrose or 10 miles east of Butler, moving towards the east at 45 miles per hour, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and quarter-size hail, radar indicated threat. That was the information that we got from the National Weather Service when we had that update. So, expanding this picture a little bit, so we've still got that tornado watch that remains in effect across a portion of our viewing area. Just 5 of our counties in northwestern Missouri are currently under that tornado watch. That does include, we've got Bates, Cass, Henry, Jackson, and Johnson counties under that tornado watch that remains in effect until 11 p.m. this evening, as we've already seen tornadoes that have been confirmed on the ground across Kansas, and now those same storms that have a history of producing tornadoes in Kansas have now moved into the state of Missouri, of course, with one of the current severe thunderstorm warnings being one of those storms, which it has that tornado possible tag with it. So again, you want to make sure to take shelter as if there's the possibility of a tornado within this area under that severe thunderstorm warning. So let's go ahead and we're going to get some new information here. So I'm just seeing from the Storm Prediction Center if we've had any updates on this area here. So the main thing that I was looking for was to see if there was any discussion of whether or not we would get an additional severe or tornado watch. And as of right now, I see no indication that we're going to get one. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not going to, but at this point in time, it looks like that tornado watch will expire at 11 and we will not see an extension. But again, that very well may happen. And so we're going to be watching very closely for the possibility of that extension when it comes to that tornado watch. So let's go ahead and get the latest on the radar here. So there's our storm now moving into Clinton, Missouri. So if you're in Clinton, Missouri, you'll want to make sure to take shelter right now, really just in the safest spot you can, because again, there is that tornado possible tag. So even though we don't necessarily have a confirmed tornado, we have a storm that has a history of producing tornadic activity. And so that means that you might as well take shelter as if it is a tornado, because again, that tornado possible tag is with that storm. And let's just go ahead and look at some of the velocities. Not seeing any strong indication of rotation, but if there was, it would be just to the west of Clinton, moving into Clinton, likely within the next 5 to 10 minutes. But again, at this point in time, we don't have really any reason to believe that there is a tornado. But again, the storm has a history of producing a tornado. These storms can cycle, and it is for that reason that we want to watch this storm very closely. We also do still have that severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect, including Odessa, just to the west of Warrensburg. This goes in effect for 70-mile-per-hour winds. So locations impacted, that includes Pleasant Hill, Oak Grove, Odessa, Holden, Lone Jack, East Lynn, Kingsville, Baldwin, as well as many other areas as well that are under that severe thunderstorm warning continuing until 9:45 for Cass, Lafayette, Jackson, and Johnson counties. Those are the 4 counties that are currently under a severe thunderstorm warning for the possibility of experiencing 70-mile-per-hour winds that could lead to considerable damage. Again, there's a considerable threat tag with that severe thunderstorm warning, and so that is why we need to watch this storm very closely, because again, some very strong damaging winds are going to be a possibility with this particular storm. And so again, that is what we're currently dealing with. So we've got 2 active severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect across our viewing area just to the south of Interstate 70. Both of these storms are also to the west of US 65, but they are continuing to move further towards the east. And if they continue to hold together, they will be moving towards the Warrensburg area as well as into Sedalia. But again, these storms have shown signs of weakening. That, of course, is really good news, because that means that there's a possibility that these storms may go below severe limits very soon. But for the time being, we do still have those severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. One goes in effect for 70-mile-per-hour winds until 9:45. The other one goes in effect until 10 p.m. for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. So that's what we're actively tracking at this point in time in the viewing area. Elsewhere, the storms that we had earlier this evening across Texas, those have now weakened considerably, and we really don't even have thunderstorms out there anymore. We do still have severe thunderstorms across Wisconsin and Minnesota at this point in time. One of those storms just to the southeast of Rochester currently has a tornado warning, so we're tracking that. We also mentioned in today's GWP Weekly News that there was a little bit of a higher flood threat across the Great Lakes because we're dealing with several days of rainfall. Well, we're already dealing with a few flash flood warnings across Minnesota as well as into Wisconsin as well. So active severe storms and even flash flood threats across that area. And then we do have an active severe thunderstorm warning that does include Cleveland, Ohio, with some additional storms developing across Pennsylvania. None of these are anywhere close to severe across the state of Pennsylvania, but we will be tracking that over the coming hours. So really, there's 3 different areas that we're tracking. We've got Wisconsin and Minnesota, where the main severe weather threat was today. We've got the storms in our region across Missouri, and then we've got these storms in northern Ohio that have now expanded into the state of Pennsylvania. So that's really where we have our active severe thunderstorms at this point in time, with again, 2 of those severe thunderstorm warnings, 2 of those storms that we're tracking being in our viewing area. We talked a lot about our viewing area, and I just want to remind you of what that is. So Kansas City is on the very edge of our viewing area that goes over to Columbia. It includes Jefferson City. It kind of includes Springfield. Springfield's kind of on the edge, and then it goes towards Joplin and then over to Nevada as well. So of course that is the host area of the Great World Productions. Great World Productions is mostly filmed there in Nevada, so of course that is where we have. It would actually be like that. That's actually more closer to the location of Nevada within Vernon County. But of course, so this is our viewing area. This is the area that we cover most of all or most frequently here on the Great World Productions. But again, we also do some national weather as well. But our severe weather live coverage is for that particular area that we just showed you moments ago. So again, that's really the main area that we focus on during these severe weather live streams. But again, occasionally from time to time, we'll also provide some updates on some additional areas as well. And I was just looking because we now have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued for the northern storm. And this goes for, it's going to pop up very soon here. This goes for Pettis, Saline, Lafayette, and Johnson counties until 10:30 p.m. A new severe thunderstorm warning has just been issued from Pleasant Hill for those counties until 10:30 p.m. At 9:37 p.m., severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from near Odessa to near Oak Grove to 7 miles east of Holden, moving east at 50 miles per hour. So these storms are moving a little bit quicker than they were not that long ago. This is a radar indicated threat. Expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Locations that are under this warning include, it's a pretty big area, Warrensburg, Odessa, Higginsville, Noster, Concordia, Sweet Springs, Whiteman Air Force Base, as well as many other areas that are under, including Lake Lafayette as well, that are under this severe thunderstorm warning. So again, we're looking at 60-mile-per-hour winds. That's going to be the main threat. There could still be some small hail, but the hail is now below severe limits. So of course, that is good news. 60-mile-per-hour winds and small hail. So again, this is radar indicated. So storm spotters have not confirmed that this is actively happening. But again, 60-mile-per-hour winds are going to be possible along Interstate 70. This includes mile markers 36 to mile marker 76. Again, that is on Interstate 70 in Missouri. 36 to 75 are the mile markers. So if you're out on the roadway, if you're out on Interstate 70 specifically, between mile markers 36 and 75, you will want to take shelter or get off the roadway to a structure as quickly as possible because, again, 60-mile-per-hour winds are going to be possible out of this new area that is now under that severe thunderstorm warning. And there's the new severe thunderstorm warning. So again, the storm has now moved towards the east, does include Warrensburg, Noster, along US 50, just to the northwest of Sedalia. So the storm has made a little bit of a northern turn. So Sedalia is not going to be affected by this storm. At least the current warning does not include that area. So Odessa, of course, you are under the previous warning, you're under the new warning. And then we've got Concordia all the way up to Sweet Springs as well, where we are under this severe thunderstorm warning. And then this goes up to Blackburn as well as over just to the south of Waverly. So here's US. So here's US 24. So the warning is just to the south of US 24. And then here's US 65. Or here's US 65, excuse me. There's US 65. And so the warning goes pretty much to where the highway is. So it goes all the way west of the highway and then points to the southwest of the highway as well. So again, severe thunderstorm warning has been newly issued. This is an extension off of the previous warning. The previous warning was for 70-mile-per-hour winds. Now this new warning is for 60-mile-per-hour winds, which shows us that the storm is likely weakening, which of course is good news. This goes for Pettis County, Saline County, Lafayette County, and also in Johnson County until 10:30 p.m. 60-mile-per-hour winds, again, as we mentioned, is the main threat with this particular storm. It's along this Boeing segment just to the west of Warrensburg. That's the area that we are most concerned about with these 60-mile-per-hour winds. We're going to go ahead and we're going to pull up the velocities here. So again, we mainly do this to see if there's any rotation that could be tornadic, but we can also look at straight line winds as well. And you'll notice that there's that Boeing segment. There's where the strongest of the winds are right now. So it looks like the strongest of the winds have just moved through Warrensburg. They are now moving towards Noster, Concordia, Higginsville. Those are the next areas that are in line for this strong line of straight line damaging winds. Again, 60-mile-per-hour winds with this particular storm is going to be possible. So there's that Boeing segment. This is the entire area that is under that newly issued severe thunderstorm warning that goes in effect until 10:30 p.m. Again, some of the the new counties that are under this warning include Saline, Pettis, Lafayette, and Johnson counties. Of course, those two were in the previous warning, but they're also in this newly extended warning that goes until 10:30 for 60-mile-per-hour winds. If you are along Interstate 70 between mile markers 36 and 75, then you are under this current warning. And you'll want to take shelter if you are in any of these areas, including we've got Odessa is under this warning, Concordia, and then Sweet Springs. So those are some of the towns that are currently under this severe thunderstorm warning that goes in effect along Interstate 70 at this point in time. So again, that's what we're watching very closely. Again, 60-mile-per-hour winds. That's going to be the main threat out of this storm here that is along Interstate 70 and then points to the south of that. All right, so we've also still got a severe thunderstorm warning to the south of that region that includes Clinton, Missouri, as well as Windsor. So we've got that active at this point in time. So let's go ahead and let's see if we have any new information on this warning here. 9:39, severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from near Chilhowie to 10 miles east of Urich to near Clinton, moving east at 35 miles per hour. 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail are going to be the main concern. Again, this is a radar-indicated threat. So let's go ahead and we're going to move to the velocities here. So yeah, so there's where we're currently looking at kind of that Boeing segment just to the north of Clinton. That is where we're experiencing some of these strong winds that are potentially upwards of 60 miles per hour. And if they are, then that's going to cause some damage. So there you go, right there. That's where we have that Boeing. Well, it's actually more right. Let me redraw that. That's where we have our straight line winds. And of course, this was a few minutes ago because the radar takes a minute for it to process and everything. So this is usually a few minutes behind. So it's really probably more like this area is where it's currently at. So it's probably right over Clinton at this point in time. We're also tracking a little bit of a broad area of rotation on the southern end of this warning. That's where we have that tornado possible tag for us. This is part of the reason why you may want to shelter as if this were actually a tornado on the ground. Because again, we have a tornado possible tag. So that's something that you want to watch here. So this is the area of concern just to the west of Clinton that could have the tornado. So again, there's a little bit of rotation in the velocities that indicates that we could be experiencing a tornado somewhere in here within this particular storm. So two active severe thunderstorm warnings. We've got one across Clinton just to the west of Warsaw, and then one including Warrensburg extending just to the northwest of Sedalia. Both of these severe thunderstorm warnings are for 60-mile-per-hour winds. This one to the north goes until 10:30. And then the one further to the south is a little bit of an older warning that goes in effect until 10 p.m. Even though it's an older warning, both of these areas are areas of concern that we want to watch for the possibility of 60-mile-per-hour winds. And so, of course, that is something that we are going to be tracking very closely. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to see if we have any new information at this point in time. Okay, so we do have, yes, we have some new information from the Storm Prediction Center. They have just issued what is called a mesoscale discussion. And so basically what a mesoscale discussion is it's just an area that the Storm Prediction Center highlights as an area of convective thunderstorms that could produce severe weather. It's basically what it is. It's just an area that they highlight that they're watching closely. And in this current mesoscale discussion, in fact, we could probably pull it up on here just so you can actually see what I'm talking about. So there's the SPC severe weather outlook. So again, there was an extension that was or a new area that was added that did include us here in western Missouri. That was not there earlier this evening, if you might remember from our weekly news update. So that's Springfield. By the way, there's a current look at our active alerts that we have. So again, there's that tornado watch. Just in case you're tuning in from somewhere else across the U.S., we are talking about eastern Kansas and western Missouri. That's our viewing area, and that's the area of concern with the severe weather that we're dealing with. All right, let's go back to this here. So we want to go to mesoscale discussions. So again, you'll notice that we have this is a mesoscale discussion for the area. So this is like an example of, well, it actually is a real mesoscale discussion. And so what it does is, again, it talks about the possibility of, well, it talks about what type of severe weather we're dealing with, which in this situation, it's a QLCS, which is kind of like a complex of severe thunderstorms. But that's what we're experiencing across this area. And it also talks about the peak intensity of our different impacts. So it says that the strongest that a tornado could be is up to winds of 150 miles per hour, which is pretty strong. That's a pretty strong tornado if we were to see that. It also says winds of 55 to 70 miles per hour and quarter to golf ball size hail is possible. And then it gives a discussion, mesoscale discussion. It gives a discussion on what we're experiencing. And so, again, there is a mesoscale discussion highlight. There we go. It just hadn't come in yet. So this is mesoscale discussion 415 from the Storm Prediction Center. And so our peak intensity is 55 to 70 mile per hour winds, which we've already seen that in some of the severe thunderstorm warnings. And we've got tornadoes that could be EF0 or EF1. So we're dealing with pretty weak tornadoes. But again, still something we want to watch, you know. And then we've also got potentially quarter to half dollar size hail. So this is a small cluster of storms across central Missouri, and this is valid until 11:15 p.m. So again, here's that tornado watch. Here's the mesoscale discussion. And so the mesoscale discussion is basically one step below a watch, is what I would describe it as. So again, this is from the Storm Prediction Center showing that we still have some active severe thunderstorms across central Missouri, which does include our viewing area. All right, so we still have our two severe thunderstorm warnings. Not a whole lot of changes. Again, 60 mile per hour winds, maybe even some small hail. It's going to be possible. And with that, we are going to go ahead and we're going to move into another brief intermission. We will return at the top of the hour at 10 p.m. Oh. Enjoy another brief intermission. All right, and welcome back from our intermission here. You're watching GWP Live Severe Weather Coverage. It's Monday, April 13th, 2026, and I'm Jacob Fulmer here, and we've still been watching some ongoing severe thunderstorms across the viewing area. So looks like we've got three active severe thunderstorm warnings in effect across the viewing area. And that, of course, includes Interstate 44 to Interstate 70 and Interstate 49, as we've been showing you. Uh, there it is. There's our viewing areas. That's the area that we track severe storms for, and we look for immediate local weather here. But of course, we also do regional weather from time to time as well. And so we've been tracking those ongoing severe thunderstorms across the area here. As we've got, again, as we mentioned, a few active severe thunderstorm warnings across the area. So that's our newest severe thunderstorm warning across western Cass County. We'll show you that here in a moment. And then we've still got some active warnings just to the east now of Kansas City. Tornado watch does still go in effect across these 5 counties in Missouri, which again, as we mentioned, include Bates, Cass, Henry, Jackson, and Johnson counties. Those areas, you're still under a tornado watch until 11 p.m. Central Daylight Time, as you could be experiencing severe weather and severe thunderstorms that can produce tornadoes. At this point in time, we don't have any active severe thunderstorm, or excuse me, we don't have any active tornado warnings, although we do have active severe thunderstorm warnings. And so we're going to go ahead, we're going to start taking a look at those here. So we just got some new information. The severe thunderstorm warning that did go in effect across Clinton, that one right here, this severe thunderstorm warning has now expired. So this one, we're good to go. No longer in effect. No longer a tornado threat with this particular storm. So of course that is some good news, but we do still have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings along Interstate 70, including Warrensburg going over to, so now this is east of Odessa. So now we're moving into Concordia and Sweet Springs along Interstate 70, currently under a severe thunderstorm warning. And then looks like we also have a severe thunderstorm warning across Cass County as well for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. But again, the severe thunderstorm warning across the Clinton area has now expired. Let's go ahead and so it looks like now we have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued. So it's there for a moment. That warning did expire, but we now have a new update. Yeah, so there it is. New severe thunderstorm warning issued for Henry, Pettis, and Johnson counties until 10:45 at 9:58 p.m. Severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from Leeton to near Calhoun to near Clinton and to near Montrose. And so, moving east at 30 miles per hour, we're looking at 60-mile-per-hour winds and nickel-sized hail with this newly issued severe thunderstorm warning that is just to the southwest of Sedalia. So there it is. It does include Clinton, and it has now been extended to around the Green Ridge and Windsor areas. Those areas are under a newly issued severe thunderstorm warning until 10:45. So there's the severe thunderstorm warning. 60-mile-per-hour winds and some small hail are going to be possible. Then we've also got another severe thunderstorm warning that is ongoing across Cass County. This is a newly issued warning as well. A little bit too close to the radar site, so we're going to back out from there just for a moment. Okay. Yeah, so there it is. Severe thunderstorm warning across Cass County. Let's go ahead and get some new information on this. This is a newly issued warning from some storms just to the west of the ones that we were just showing you. This goes for Miami County in Kansas and Cass County in Missouri till 10:30. At 9:55, severe thunderstorms were located over Cleveland or near to Lewisburg, moving east at 30 miles per hour. We've got 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and quarter-size hail. This is radar indicated. Hail damage to vehicles is expected. Wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees will be possible. Locations that could be impacted include Harrisonville, Peculiar, Cleveland, Freeman, Lake Annetta, and West Line. This goes in effect for Interstate 49 between mile markers 157 and 170. For your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of the building. Again, that's because because of some of the wind damage that we could be experiencing from this particular warning. So this is the warning that has just been newly issued along Interstate 49, US 71, including Harrisonville in Cass County, where we're concerned about the possibility of some large hail with this particular storm. And so again, there it is right there. That's what we're dealing with, this storm here that is moving just to the northwest of Harrisonville. But Harrisonville, you are under the severe thunderstorm warning. And again, that goes in effect until 10:30 p.m. for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. So that is what we are dealing with at this point in time. So we've got 3 active severe thunderstorm warnings. We've got the Cass County severe thunderstorm warning that we just showed you in Harrisonville until 10:30 p.m. Then we've got a severe thunderstorm warning including Henry, Pettis, and Johnson counties until 10:45 for the Clinton area. And then to the north of that, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for Saline, Lafayette, and Johnson counties until 10:30 for 60-mile-per-hour wind gust. So those are the 3 active severe thunderstorm warnings that we have at this point in time. Again, if we expand to a more kind of regional view of this, we still have that tornado watch for the areas highlighted in the lighter yellow until 11 p.m. That does include our 5 northwestern counties in Missouri and a small portion of Kansas. That includes Kansas City down to Butler, where we've already had tornado warnings, and that goes over to Clinton as well. So that's the area that is under this tornado watch that remains in effect until 11 p.m. this evening. We also do have a severe thunderstorm watch across Iowa and Wisconsin and Minnesota as well. This severe thunderstorm watch goes in effect until 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. So that is something that we are going to be watching very closely, of course, with the different severe thunderstorm and tornado watches that remain in effect. And then, of course, we did have some severe storms earlier this evening. That's not one. We did have some thunderstorms earlier this evening across Texas, but those are no longer severe at this point in time, just a few passing showers in the Red River Valley. So again, no more storms in Texas. We do still have thunderstorms ongoing across Ohio into Pennsylvania. So that is something that we're watching around Lake Erie. So Cleveland is still under a severe thunderstorm warning at this point in time. We've also got severe thunderstorm warnings across northeastern Michigan. So we're watching that. That's around Lake Huron. And then we're also looking at a couple of storms across Wisconsin that have produced heavy rainfall. That has led to some flash flood warnings across central Wisconsin. And then we do have a severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning in effect in southeastern Minnesota, just to the west of La Crosse, and then also southeast of Rochester. So severe thunderstorm warnings in effect across that region for 60-mile-per-hour winds. There is also a tornado possible tag for this severe thunderstorm warning, and within that severe thunderstorm warning, we have a tornado warning radar indicated threat until 10:15. So, active warnings ongoing across the northern plains as well as into the Great Lakes region, including Michigan, and into the Cleveland area across Ohio. And then we've also got some active warnings in effect across our local viewing area that we've been tracking very closely. We've got 4 severe thunderstorm warnings in Missouri, and that does include 3 in our local region, including this one along Interstate 70. We've got one just to the southwest of Sedalia, east of Clinton, and then we've got one in Harrisonville in Bates County. So those are the active severe thunderstorm warnings that we have across our viewing area. So that is something that we are watching very closely at this point in time. But other than that, that's really all of the severe weather that we're currently dealing with. So let's go over to Yes, let's go ahead and go to the Storm Predictions Outlook, the Storm Prediction Center's outlook. And again, we have that enhanced severe weather risk. So that is a higher risk than what we're dealing with here in Missouri. But we do have an enhanced severe risk across northern Iowa, southern Minnesota, and central Wisconsin, where we've been dealing with some of those storms. And then we've also got a slight risk extending into Michigan, including Chicago. Then we have a separate area in eastern Kansas and western Missouri that is under a slight risk for severe storms. That is a 2 out of 5 on the SBC's severe weather outlook. We also have a marginal risk extending from Texas all the way into central Missouri across the viewing area. So marginal to slight risk, that is going to be the threat level across our region here. Let's see if we can, oh, that's for tomorrow. So yeah, so again, we've got that tornado risk. We do have a risk that some of these could also be EF2s or stronger, as indicated by these hatch marks right here, this hatched area. EF2 tornadoes or stronger are going to be possible. And then again, we've got that 5% category, which is just a little bit more than the 2%. And that 5% category across eastern Kansas and western Missouri. This was all added later into the evening hours, where the Storm Prediction Center said, yeah, we have a little bit of a stronger risk than what we originally thought. And then we've also got that risk for some strong winds as well as some large hail as well. And as we have mentioned, this is not our only severe weather threat. We also have severe weather as we go into your Tuesday, also Wednesday and Friday. So we've got a multi-day severe weather threat that is developing here across the Central Plains, including the state of Missouri here. Tomorrow, we are under that slight risk once again across western central Missouri. We're going to have some isolated thunderstorms during the afternoon hours. Then we are going to have a complex of thunderstorms that is going to develop during the evening. And some of those could be strong to possibly severe. And so there is a possibility that we could be doing a live stream tomorrow evening around this time as well. So we're going to be watching that very closely. So again, slight risk for severe storms from the Storm Prediction Center as we go into your Tuesday. So just showing you that tornado risk is once again going to be a little bit higher to our north across Iowa into northern Illinois and also into southern Wisconsin. That's the area that's going to have a slightly higher risk for tornadoes as we go into tomorrow. But we are still in that 2% category across the state of Missouri, indicating that we could be dealing with a tornado threat here. We've also got a 5% category across this kind of brown color across northern Texas and western and central Oklahoma. Again, this is for tomorrow, where we're going to be looking at that risk here. We've also got those hatched marks, which indicate EF2 tornadoes or stronger are going to be possible for that area and this area. The good news is for tomorrow across the state of Missouri, we do not have those hatched mark areas, which means that we do not have the risk, or at least we don't have that higher risk for EF2 tornadoes across the state of Missouri going into tomorrow. So that, of course, is some good news. But wind and hail, that's going to be another concern that we're going to be dealing with. We've got that wind risk that's in effect. We're in that 15% category for wind. So it's not necessarily a super high risk, but it is still a risk across the state of Missouri as we go into tomorrow. And then for the northwestern portion of the viewing area, we do have those hatched marks, which do indicate the possibility of some significant hail going into tomorrow. That could be 2 inches or greater across these hatched areas, and that does include our viewing area across the state of Missouri. But as we mentioned, the severe weather risk is not just for the rest of this evening. It's not just for tomorrow evening, but it is also into Wednesday. So you'll want to make sure to be weather prepared as we go through the rest of this week here. You'll want to make sure to stay tuned anytime that we have those weather updates or live streams that come through here at the Great World Productions. As we go into Wednesday, slight risk for severe weather across Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, once again including us on Wednesday. So that severe weather risk is not only for tonight, not only for tomorrow, but also for Wednesday. We're in the clear on Thursday, but by Friday we even have a slight risk in that kind of long-range severe weather forecast from the Storm Prediction Center, which does highlight us here in Missouri as that risk for severe weather will persist into Friday. So we've got Monday, we've got Tuesday, we've got Wednesday, and we've got Friday. All of those days. Thursday is really the only day where we're not looking at that severe weather threat. So we're going to be tracking that very closely here across the state of Missouri. All right. So let's go ahead and get kind of an update. We don't have any new warnings at this point in time. We're still tracking the 3 warnings that we have been showing you. One of those, of course, is the one across Cass County, just to the west of Harrisonville, west of Interstate 49 as well. Severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. You'll notice that we have seen some kind of pink and white colors in there, so that indicates that's where our hail threat is going to be at. That's where our hail core is at. And actually, we just got some new information that severe thunderstorm warning across Cass County has just expired. So that is good news. So we still haven't had that updated, but I just got word that our severe thunderstorm warning for Bates County has expired. Yes. So the Miami and Bates County severe thunderstorm warning in Harrisonville has now expired as that storm has now gone below severe limits. So, of course, that is some good news. But we are still tracking two active severe thunderstorm warnings across Clinton and Windsor. This goes in effect for Henry, Pettis, and Johnson counties at 10:12 p.m. Severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from 7 miles east of Leeton to near Windsor to 8 miles south of Calhoun to 6 miles southeast of Clinton, moving east at 30 miles per hour. So this is for 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and nickel-size hail. This is a radar-indicated threat. We're looking at damage to roofs, siding, and trees that will be possible. Locations under this warning include Clinton, Windsor, Leeton, Greenbridge, Calhoun, Post Oak, and Truman Lake. If you're in any of those locations, you'll want to move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building because we are dealing with the risk of wind damage to trees, siding, and roofs, as we mentioned. And again, that goes for 60-mile-per-hour winds. We do not have confirmation that we are experiencing 60-mile-per-hour winds, but the radar is indicating that it's a possibility. And so 60-mile-per-hour winds, nickel-size hail, if you're under that severe thunderstorm warning, you want to make sure to take shelter across that area. So we're tracking that very closely. And okay, now this is very good news. The severe thunderstorm warning along Interstate 70 has just expired. Yes, okay, so both of these severe thunderstorm warnings have expired. So this one right here is in Clinton and Windsor. That severe thunderstorm warning is currently the only active warning that we have at this point in time. And with that, we are going to move into a brief intermission. We will return at 10:22 p.m. All right, we are back here from our brief intermission here. You're watching GWP Live Severe Weather Coverage. It is April 13th, 2026, and it is now 20 past the hour here. It is 10:20 p.m. Central Daylight Time. So we are now still tracking some ongoing severe thunderstorms across our area. We do still have a tornado watch across our northwestern counties that remains in effect until 11 p.m., as we've already had some tornadic activity earlier this evening around the Kansas-Missouri state line. Now we are still tracking those ongoing storms as they move into our viewing area across the state of Missouri. So we currently still have 3 active severe thunderstorm warnings across the state of Missouri. But in addition to that, we also have a few active warnings across Iowa and Minnesota and Wisconsin, as well as into Michigan. We're also tracking some storms around the Cleveland, Ohio area as well. So that's what we're actively dealing with at this point in time across the country, as we do have a severe thunderstorm watch also in effect across Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota, and Iowa. That remains in effect until 4 a.m. Another really big story that has developed across that region has been the flooding. Flash flood warnings are ongoing across central Wisconsin, and we've also got those flood watches as well. So, moving into the active alerts, let's go ahead and take a look at the active severe alerts that we have at this point in time. So we've got 3 active warnings, 2 across the viewing area. One does include us here in Cass County. So we had the storm that has now moved out of Kansas, but we do still have an active severe thunderstorm warning that does include Harrisonville across Cass County in Missouri. Here's the latest information from the National Weather Service. At 10:11 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located over Lake Annette near Peculiar, moving east at 25 miles per hour. So this storm is moving a little bit slower than some of those storms that we've been dealing with across or that we had earlier. We've got 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. This is a radar indicated threat. We're looking at hail damage to vehicles is expected. Expect wind damage to roofs, siding and trees. Locations impacted will include Raymore, Harrisonville, Peculiar, Cleveland, Freeman, Lake Annetta, and West Line. This also does include interstate mile markers 157 to 170. So if you are traveling along Interstate 49 at this point in time, but want to make sure to get off the roadway as quickly as possible, because some damaging winds and large hail are going to be possible with these storms. Also, it's recommended that you move into an interior room on the lowest floor of a very sturdy building. So you'll want to make sure to do that, because 60-mile-per-hour winds and some quarter-size hail is going to be possible, and it's very likely happening around the Lake Annetta area, just to the northeast of that area along Interstate 49. Peculiar is also under this warning, and again, just to the northwest of Harrisonville along Interstate 49, that's where we're dealing with the risk for some of these winds and hail that we've been dealing with. We've also got an active severe thunderstorm warning that does include us here further towards the east until 10:45 for 60-mile-per-hour winds and nickel-size hail. Radar indicated threat. We're dealing with Clinton, Windsor, Leeton, Green Ridge, Calhoun, Post Oak, and Truman Lake are currently under this warning. And again, that goes in effect until 10:45 p.m. this evening. So move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building, just like we mentioned with the previous warning. This goes in effect for Henry, Pettis, and Johnson counties until 10:45. The latest was that at 10:12 p.m., severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from 7 miles east of Leeton to near Windsor, to 8 miles south of Calhoun, to 6 miles southeast of Clinton, moving east at 30 miles per hour. So we've also got some thunderstorm. So this is the area that we're concerned about with the winds and the hail. We do have another cluster of thunderstorms, but currently this warning is not for that area. So this is not what our concern is. This is the area of concern. This is where we're looking at those This is where we're looking at those 60-mile-per-hour winds, and again, some hail is going to be possible in that white area just to the southwest of Green Ridge. That indicates our hail core, again, quarter-size hail, is going to be possible out of this particular storm. So we've still got two active warnings at this point in time. These are continuing to move east. So next in line, beyond this, we're looking at possibly Sedalia getting involved, or at least just to the south of Sedalia along US 65, and then eventually these storms could make it to Columbia and Jefferson City if they hold together, although some of these storms have been on a weakening trend, as we did have a severe thunderstorm warning earlier with this area, but as you'll notice, that storm has weakened significantly. And so now we no longer have that warning across this area here. So yes, and we do still have that tornado watch across this area. There's our tornado watch. Yeah, there's our tornado watch here across these four counties. Tornado watch remains in effect across Bates County, as well as, okay, so it just turns out we just had a new update that came in. I believe our tornado, I believe this watch has just been, I think the watch has just expired here. So we're still waiting for, yes. Not entirely. In Bates County, the tornado watch has expired, but we still have the tornado watch for Cass, Henry, and Johnson counties. But for Bates County, so this right here, Bates County, as well as Lynn County. So this is the new area that's under the tornado watch. So this part of the tornado watch has now been expired, or has now been canceled as of the latest update from the National Weather Storm Prediction Center. So these two warnings are no longer under or these two counties, excuse me, are no longer under that tornado watch. So that is one of the newest updates that we've had within the last few minutes here. Also, it appears that this severe thunderstorm warning is going to be downgraded to a significant weather or a special weather statement. So a special weather statement was just issued for Sedalia, which again, this indicates that our storm has weakened here. And let's see, do have some new, just 1 second here, still getting some new information. Yes, we still have the severe thunderstorm warning for Pettis, Johnson, and Henry counties until 10:45, but there's now been an extension just to the east of that for Sedalia. So Sedalia is now under this special weather statement, which again is below severe limits. We're looking at gusty winds of 50 to 55 miles per hour. So again, this is below severe limits, but we do have a special weather statement until 11 p.m. for 50 to 55 mile per hour winds for this strong thunderstorm across the Sedalia area. Getting some more information on this. This goes for Pettis County until 11 p.m., 50 to 55 mile per hour winds. We're currently not looking at a hail threat. And then we also have a special weather statement, including Benton County, just to the south of that, including Lincoln, Missouri. So we've got two special weather statements that have just been issued for an extension on that severe thunderstorm warning. So just a quick update, that severe thunderstorm warning will soon be expiring across this area, and then with it, it will turn into a special weather statement because this storm is now moving below severe limits, which of course is good news because that means the storm is weakening as it moves towards a more populated area along US 65, including Sedalia. All right, now we have a new update. A new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. It's an extension of the old one in Cass County. So a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. So here's the old warning that has now expired. Here's the new warning that has been issued for Cass County in Missouri. This goes in effect until 11 p.m. At 10:24 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near Harrisonville, moving to the east at 30 miles per hour. And with this severe thunderstorm, we're looking at the new severe thunderstorm warning is for ping pong ball size hail, which is 1.5 inches in diameter. So it's a little bit bigger than the hail that we were watching earlier. And we're still looking at 60-mile-per-hour winds. This is a radar indicated threat. People and animals outdoor will be injured, and hail damage to roofs, siding, and windows and vehicles is expected. Wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees will also be possible. Locations impacted include Harrisonville, Peculiar, Garden City, Freeman, East Lynn, Lake Strasburg, and Gun City. Those areas are under a severe thunderstorm warning for the threat of ping pong ball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. This warning remains in effect until 11 p.m. This now includes Interstate 49 mile markers 155 to 169. If you are across this area, you will want to take shelter because, again, we are talking about some big hail associated with this severe thunderstorm warning that now goes in effect across central Cass County. Now it has been extended until 11 p.m. So it originally was going to expire at 10:30, but it has now been extended just a little bit further to the east until 11 p.m. And the risk has also increased. The hail threat has increased. We now went from quarter size to ping pong ball size hail. So the hail threat has gone up just slightly with this severe thunderstorm, this individual cell that is moving across Interstate 49 around the Harrisonville area to the south of Kansas City. So we're watching that very closely. And then again, we've still got our active severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect across Windsor and Clinton. Windsor and Clinton under that severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect until 10:45. So again, 60-mile-per-hour winds and nickel-sized hail, radar indicated threat from both of these severe thunderstorm warnings. So again, 2 active severe thunderstorm warnings that we're tracking. One is across Cass County, one is across Pettis and Johnson counties. Okay, we just had some brand new information. Yes, we have some breaking news that has just came into us. A 72 mile per hour wind gust was just reported 2 minutes ago. 2 minutes ago, emergency management reported a 72 mile per hour wind gust with the Henry, Pettis County, and Johnson County severe thunderstorm warning. So this severe thunderstorm warning, there was a 72 mile per hour wind gust that was just reported. So that means that this wind threat has now an observed tag with it. So says 60, but now we're up to 72 mile per hour winds have now been recorded from this severe thunderstorm. So this storm is now strengthening. So both of our severe thunderstorms are now strengthening. The one just to the west of Sedalia is now we're looking at stronger winds. The one around Harrisonville, we're now looking at some larger hail than what we were previously dealing with across the warned area. So there is now a considerable threat tag with this severe thunderstorm that is to the southwest of Sedalia. We're looking at severe winds that could tear down trees, uproot trees, and then rip off shingles. So roof damage is going to be possible with this particular storm to the southwest of Sedalia, where it is now confirmed. Now it is confirmed. We now have confirmation that this severe thunderstorm warning has produced 70 mile per hour winds. So that is something that we're going to be tracking very closely, as that new 72 mile per hour wind gust has just been reported across the area. We also just had an extension for the eastern portion of that warning, including Sedalia and points to the south of that, is now under a special weather statement until 11 p.m. for 50 to 55 mile per hour winds. So that is below severe limits at this point in time. Also, we did have a severe thunderstorm warning to the northeast of Marshall, Missouri, which is north of Interstate 70. That has now also been allowed to expire. So we are now dealing with two active severe thunderstorm warnings across the state of Missouri, one in Cass County for ping pong ball size hail, the other one across Pettis, Henry, and Johnson counties, including Clinton, just to the southwest of Sedalia, where we're looking at the possibility of 70-mile-per-hour winds and some small hail. So those are the main threats that we're dealing with our two active warnings that we do have at this point in time. So that is what we are experiencing right now. Again, 70-mile-per-hour winds. Emergency management has confirmed that we've been experiencing 70-mile-per-hour winds within this particular storm. So Windsor, Calhoun, and Clinton, that's where the location of the possible 70-mile-per-hour winds is going to be at. So let's get kind of a closer look. So this is the line that we are concerned about. Let's go to the velocities. We're dealing with 70-mile-per-hour winds. We're going to go to the velocities here. And so let's see what we are experiencing with. Yes, it's a little bit difficult to tell at this point in time, but our winds are right in here. That's where the Boeing segment is, right in here, just to the west of US 65, where we are experiencing 70-mile-per-hour winds. So that's what we're looking at. So the velocities are not super strong at this point in time, but we do still see that line that the warning is concerned about. So we do still see the warning, or we still see it on velocity, but it's not as noticeable when we turn on velocity. But again, 70-mile-per-hour winds are going to be possible just to the southwest of Sedalia with this particular warning. And then, of course, we still have that ongoing warning across Cass County, including Harrisonville. That remains in effect until 11 p.m. for 60 mile. Okay, so we just had a new update with our related with this. We have a new update on the Cass County severe thunderstorm warning. This ping pong ball size hail is no longer accurate. We are now looking at only quarter size hail. So that, of course, is good news. So severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect for Cass County until 11 p.m. At 10:35 p.m., severe thunderstorm was located over Harrisonville, moving east at 30 miles per hour. 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail is the main threat. This is a radar-indicated threat, unlike the other warning, which of course is an observed tag, but this has a radar-indicated tag. This includes Harrisonville, Garden City, East Lynn, Strattsburg, and Gun City. Those are the areas that are under this severe thunderstorm warning that, again, remains in effect across Cass County, including Harrisonville. Looks like the hail core is likely moving through the Harrisonville city at this point in time. Harrisonville is decently populated. It's a suburb just outside of Kansas City in our viewing area. And so, again, now that storm is passing through the Harrisonville and East Lynn area at this point in time. So again, that warning goes until 11 p.m. and then this one goes until 10:45 p.m. for 70-mile-per-hour winds. All right, and we just had a new severe thunderstorm warning issued to the south of Sedalia. Let's get some new information on that. The National Weather Service in Springfield, so now we've got a new office. We've now crossed over into Springfield's territory. The National Weather Service in Springfield has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Benton County until 11:15 p.m. At 10:33 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near Calhoun, or 7 miles south of Windsor, moving east at 40 miles per hour. The hazard is going to be 60-mile-per-hour winds and nickel-sized hail. This is a radar-indicated threat, meaning it has not been confirmed, although we do have that emergency management report of around 10 minutes ago of 72-mile-per-hour winds. Radar-indicated threat. Expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Locations impacted by this new severe thunderstorm warning include Truman Lake, Lincoln Coal Camp, as well as Brandon. So those areas are under a new severe thunderstorm warning that now is just to the south of Sedalia, including Coal Camp, as we mentioned. 60-mile-per-hour winds and some nickel-sized hail, which of course is below severe limits. So we have two active severe thunderstorm warnings. With this particular storm, we have two warnings. This one for Windsor, Greenbridge, and it has now Clinton is no longer under the warning, but just to the east of Clinton, severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 10:45, and then now we have a newly issued warning across Camden County along US 65 south of Sedalia that goes in effect until 11:15 p.m. for 60-mile-per-hour winds. So 60-mile-per-hour winds are going to be the main threat with these two severe thunderstorm warnings along US 65. Here's US 64. So there's Wabalo, Wheatland, and Hermitage. Then you go into Cross Timbers and then up to Warsaw. So all of this is to the north of those areas. And then here's US 50. There's Warrensburg. There's Sedalia. So Sedalia, you're getting a strong thunderstorm, but the thunderstorm in Sedalia is currently not severe warned. So that, of course, is some good news. But just to the south of Sedalia, that's where we're looking at that wind gust threat of 60-mile-per-hour winds. Then we've also still got a severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect across Cass County. So this is our other storm that we are tracking at this point in time. This goes for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. This remains in effect until 11 p.m. at this point in time. Also, just as a brief reminder, we've still got a tornado watch, which includes Cass, Henry, and Johnson counties for Clinton, Belton, Harrisonville, Pleasant Hill, Raymore, Warrensburg, and Windsor. Those areas are technically still under the tornado watch until 11 p.m. All right, and with that, we are going to go ahead and move into a brief intermission. We will return at just past 10:45. All right, and we are back after a brief intermission here. You are listening into GWP Live Severe Weather Coverage. It is Monday, April 13th, 2026. I'm Jacob Fulmer, and we have been covering the ongoing severe storms here across our region in the state of Missouri. We've still got some active severe warnings at this point in time across the viewing area, including a severe thunderstorm warning that has been producing some hail across Cass County. And then we've also got a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings just to the south of Sedalia along US 65. We've also been watching those storms. Those have been for the risk of some straight line damaging winds. So that is what we're currently dealing with at this point in time. And we just had this severe thunderstorm warning has just expired. So that, of course, is some good news. But we do still have that special weather statement that is not shown here on this map in the Sedalia area. 50 to 55-mile-per-hour winds are going to be possible out of that particular storm, but again, no warning is for that area. Again, this severe thunderstorm warning has just expired, so that, of course, is some good news, but we do still have that severe thunderstorm warning across Camden County, including Lincoln, Missouri, along US 65, and that also goes across Cole Camp, as we're looking at the possibility of some 60-mile-per-hour winds with that warning here. So that goes in effect until 11:15 p.m. Again, this goes for Camden County until 11:15 p.m. for damage to roofs, siding, and trees with 60-mile-per-hour winds. We are also still actively tracking a warning just to the south of Kansas City, including the Harrisonville area. Severe thunderstorm warning for Cass County for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-sized hail. At 10:35 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located over Harrisonville, moving east at 30 miles per hour. Hail damage to vehicles is expected, and then you can also expect wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Locations impacted will include Harrisonville, Garden City, East Lynn, and then Strasburg and Gun City. So this includes mile markers 155 to 164. The tornado watch also remains in effect for these same areas until 11 p.m., as we have been kind of talking about here throughout this live stream. So again, this particular severe thunderstorm warning will soon be expiring. This one continues for just a little bit longer across Camden counties until 11:15, and then the one across Cass County continues until 11 p.m. So again, this one has expired. This one until 11. This one until 11:15. That is what we're currently dealing with our severe thunderstorm warnings. And again, we've also got that tornado watch that remains in effect for Cass, Henry, and Johnson counties as well. So that's what we're actively dealing with. We've also got some storms that were severe just to the north of Columbia. Those have now gone below severe limits, but again, still some strong thunderstorms across that region. These storms are starting to move into Columbia and Jefferson City, so those areas will be getting involved in these storms very soon. And then we've also had some storms earlier, so we do still have a residual flood warning across northeastern Kansas that remains in effect. Of course, these are not the only severe thunderstorms that we're dealing with at this point in time. We've also got ongoing storms across the Great Lakes here. So looks like we've got active severe thunderstorm warnings across eastern Michigan, also into western Michigan as well. And then we've got some flash flood warnings across central Wisconsin, and then a severe thunderstorm warning that does remain in effect across southeastern Minnesota at this point in time. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to we're going to take you back to today's. So here's the area that we're at risk for severe storms. So we've got Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa. That's where the highest risk for severe weather is for today. That highest risk is going to be an enhanced risk, a 3 out of 5 on that severe weather scale that the Storm Prediction Center uses. So 3 out of 5. And then the Great Lakes region is included under that slight risk, which is a 2 out of 5. Then into eastern Kansas and western Missouri, we have a slight risk for severe thunderstorms, 2 out of 5 on the SPC's severe weather scale, and then a marginal risk that extends back into Texas. But as we've already mentioned, the storms across Texas and Oklahoma that we had earlier this evening, those have already fizzled out. And really, the only storms that we have across this entire area are the ones that we're tracking here across western Missouri. So that's what we're dealing with. We've got storms in western Missouri and then storms across the northern plains and northeast. So that is what we're currently dealing with at this point in time. So just seeing here if we had any new information. We do have some news elsewhere. We have kind of some breaking news in the state of Michigan tonight. We just had Let's get some more information on this. Flash flood warning was issued because of a dam floodgate release. This is in Manatee County in northern Michigan. This goes in effect until 2:15 p.m. Eastern Time Tuesday. At 9:34 p.m., high flows are being released through the Tippy Dam. So at the Tippy Dam in Michigan, there has been water that needed to be released, and so that has led to a flash flood warning. Again, the dam operator has reported that flash flooding is ongoing across that location around the Manatee area in western Michigan. So that was kind of a new development. And then we've also had some flash flooding across Green Bay, Wisconsin, extending back to Stevens Point, Wisconsin as well. So, of course, sometimes here on GWP, we also update you on the ongoing weather that's going on across the nation. And so those are some other severe developments that we're dealing with at this point in time. Taking you back to the storms that we're experiencing here more locally, of course, we've got ongoing severe thunderstorm warning just to the south of the Sedalia area that we've been tracking very closely here. So this goes in effect for 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and nickel-size hail, radar indicated threat. The latest update was at 10:33 p.m. A severe thunderstorm was located near Calhoun, or 7 miles south of Windsor, moving east at 40 miles per hour. So again, damage to roofs, siding, and trees are going to be possible. Again, this is in Camden County across west central Missouri. So we still do have some ongoing storms across the Sedalia area that were severe warned, but again, they were severe warned. They are currently not severe warned at this time. That special weather statement remains in effect until 11 p.m. The other storm that we've been tracking, let's give you an update on the Cass County severe thunderstorm warning, which has now, yes. Okay. The Cass County Severe Thunderstorm Warning has just expired. So, some new information to us. The Cass County warning, it still shows it here, but that warning has now expired. So, the good news is Harrisonville, and just to the points east of Harrisonville that were under a severe thunderstorm warning, this has now been allowed to expire. So the Cass County warning has expired. So now we are just down to the Camden County severe thunderstorm warning. That is currently the only severe thunderstorm warning that we have across our viewing area. Going more on a national scale. Again, we have been dealing with severe weather across western central Missouri, but we've also got ongoing severe thunderstorm watches across Wisconsin, Iowa, and Michigan that remain in effect until 4 a.m. across that region. We've also got flood watches across Wisconsin and Michigan, where we've seen some ongoing flooding throughout this evening. Those flood watches remain in effect for the next several hours as well. So that is the ongoing severe areas that we're dealing with. We've also got a fire threat that's been developing across the Central Plains and some other weather stories. Red flag warnings remain in effect across Colorado and Kansas, as well as into Texas. Red flag watches across that area as well. And then we've also been seeing some heavy snowfall across Alaska, but also into Oregon and Washington in the higher elevations. A couple of feet of snow are going to be possible across those regions. So those are some of the other weather effects that we're dealing with across the rest of the country. Again, tonight's severe weather risk, we've got that enhanced risk across Minnesota and Wisconsin, a little bit of a lower risk, but still a risk across eastern Kansas and western Missouri that remains in effect across this region. Tornadoes and hail are the main risk across our region here in the state of Missouri. Tomorrow, we once again will have the risk for severe weather across the state of Missouri. We've got that slight risk for severe storms, enhanced risk further towards the north. But here in Missouri, slight risk of seeing those storms. We've got that tornado threat for your Tuesday, wind threat, as well as hail threat. So all modes of severe weather are going to be in play. Hail. Hail is going to be the biggest risk as we go into your Tuesday. These storms will develop during the afternoon. We're going to have individual pop-up supercell thunderstorms that will develop during the afternoon hours, most likely after around 4 o'clock. We'll see some of those storms start to fire up. And then Tuesday evening, tomorrow night, we're going to start to see more of a complex of storms develop across the viewing area. So that's going to be our two different rounds of severe weather, if you want to call it, as we go into tomorrow. And then we even have a risk for severe weather as we go into Wednesday. This will mostly be during the overnight hours, but really for the same area that's at risk for tomorrow. And then Friday, we're not showing it currently at this time, but we also have a risk for Friday across the state of Missouri as well. So several days of severe weather is going to be possible. Kind of zooming in a little bit more of a regional picture of that. Again, slight risk. Our eastern counties, a little bit of a lower risk. Hail up to the size of golf balls. 60-mile-per-hour winds and a couple of isolated tornadoes are going to be possible tomorrow afternoon and evening. And then again, the same threat is going to be with us as we go into Wednesday, with the main risk being hail and damaging winds on Wednesday. But our shower and storm chances will be a little bit higher tomorrow and Wednesday, and then things will back off a little bit on Thursday. But then once again, storm chances as we go into Friday evening and Friday night with the possibility of some severe storms. That flood risk will also be with us. We have from the Weather Prediction Center a slight risk for flooding tonight across Wisconsin and Michigan. But then as we go into tomorrow, that risk will expand across the state of Missouri, where we're going to have that marginal risk as we go into Tuesday. How about into Wednesday? Marginal flood risk across Missouri. Thursday, we don't have that risk, but the risk will return as we go into Friday. So flooding is going to be a big concern as we go forward in time. All right, we will now move into our next intermission here on our live stream. We will return from the intermission at 11 o'clock at the top of the hour. And we're back from our intermission here. You're listening to GWP Live Severe Weather Coverage. It's Monday, April 13th, 2026. It is now the top of the hour here at 11 p.m. Central Daylight Time, and we are tracking some of the ongoing severe thunderstorms across the region. We still do have a couple of active warnings at this point in time. In fact, we have some breaking news that has just came into us at the top of the hour. We are now tracking a possible tornado with our severe thunderstorm warning in Camden County. So we want to go ahead and we want to get you the latest on this severe thunderstorm warning. At 10:59 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near Lincoln, 12 miles northeast of Warsaw, moving east at 40 miles per hour. Our primary threats that we're mainly concerned about are 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and nickel-sized hail. That's all radar indicated at this point in time, and that's what the severe thunderstorm warning is issued for Benton County. But we also now know at this point in time that there is now a tornado possible tag with this severe thunderstorm warnings, which means we are potentially looking at some rotation, and it's very well possible that that rotation could turn into a tornado. Now, as we look here at the velocities, looks like we've got a little bit of rotation kind of right in here, just to the east of Lincoln, maybe another rotation just to the northwest of Stover. None of these are really tight rotations at this point in time. Yeah, so again, that's really our main concern with this is we are watching that one area that I was just highlighting. Yeah, so we've got this area and then we've got kind of that area, but again, nothing really stands out as super prominent when we look here at the latest velocity scan. But again, it's very well possible that we could be experiencing a tornado here with this particular storm is again, that's what the severe thunderstorm warning is going for. So again, that's something that we're going to be watching very closely here. And okay, we just got some new information. Severe thunderstorm warning has now been extended for Benton County and has also now includes Morgan County until 11:45 p.m. This goes for 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and nickel-size hail. At 10:57 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near Cole Camp, or 14 miles west of Versailles, moving east at 40 miles per hour. This is a radar indicated threat, but once again, we are also looking at a tornado possible. So tornado possible tag with this newly issued severe thunderstorm warning that now includes Morgan and Camden or Benton. My goodness, excuse me. Benton and Morgan counties are now under this new warning until 11:45. And again, there is a tornado possible tag with this severe thunderstorm warning. Locations impacted include Versailles, Stover, Barnett, Syracuse, Florence, and Krogerville. Those areas are under a severe thunderstorm warning that does have a tornado possible tag with it, meaning there's a possibility that a brief spin-up tornado could be possible within this severe thunderstorm warning. If you are in any of the areas that we have listed off, you need to move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building and shelter like you would for a tornado, because again, as it says in the description of this warning, a tornado is going to be possible. And so there is that new severe thunderstorm warning that does include Benton and Morgan counties until 11:45, including the Versailles area. This goes for Syracuse as well, west of Tipton along US 50. So this storm is now moving towards Jefferson City. It's just to the west of Jefferson City at this point in time. But a newly issued severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag goes in effect until 11:45. We also have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning, as you'll notice, that just popped up to the north of that, just to the east of Sedalia. Let's look a little bit closer into the details on this one. Severe thunderstorm warning goes in effect for Pettis and Cooper counties in Missouri. This also goes in effect until 11:45 p.m. At 11:01 p.m. Central Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm was located along a line extending from near Otterville to 8 miles southeast of Smithton to 7 miles northeast of Cole Camp, moving east at 50 miles per hour. Hazards include 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail, with the main emphasis being on the severe winds that we could see. 60-mile-per-hour winds again. This is a radar indicated threat. Expect damage to roofs, sidings, and trees. The areas that are included under this new severe thunderstorm warning include Sedalia, Smithton, Otterville, Boonston, Prairie Home, Sedalia Memorial Airport, and Clifton City are all under this new severe thunderstorm warning that now goes in effect here just to the east of Sedalia. Again, this does include Otterville and Smithton, just to the north of US 50. We're looking at the possibility of 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as some penny-sized hail. So 60-mile-per-hour winds with this severe thunderstorm warning. These two are also for 60-mile-per-hour winds, but a tornado is also going to be possible within this warning here. So here's US 64. So this is just to the west of Eldon, but it does include Versailles. Lake of the Ozarks is just to the southeast of this warning. So these storms are staying out. We're not going to see storms in Camdenton. So Camdenton, Max Creek, Hermitage, you are all in the clear for this storm. But Eldon, Jefferson City, and possibly Columbia is next in line for these severe thunderstorms. These storms have already produced strong winds of up around 70 miles per hour earlier this evening, and we also had a tornado from these storms as well earlier. And again, there's a possibility that we could still be dealing with a tornado within this particular area that is under these two severe thunderstorm warnings because we do have that tornado possible tag with the storm here. Let's go ahead and move to velocities. And we do have a bit of rotation that is beginning to develop just to the southwest of Syracuse. Here's Tipton, here's Versailles. Northwest of Versailles, we are currently dealing with an area of rotation, so we could be looking at the possibility of a funnel cloud or possibly even a brief tornado touchdown across this area. We will continue to update you on all the latest information, but at this point in time, some rotation has been detected just to the north of Stover, just to the northwest of Versailles, so that is possibly where we're looking at a tornado. We've got a little bit of a notch in the line as well. I want to show you what I'm talking about here. Anytime that we get like this kind of like, I guess you could call it like a hook. Again, this isn't really a hook, but more of just kind of an area where the storm is bent in. That's where we're looking at a possibility of a tornado. But either way, straight line damaging winds right along this leading edge is going to be possible. This is about to move into Stover, and soon it will move into Versailles, Syracuse, and Tipton. Tipton, you are currently not under a severe thunderstorm warning, but this storm is headed towards you and will likely be in your area within the next 10 to 15 minutes. So those are the areas. Again, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and then there's even a possibility of a tornado just to the northwest of Versailles, southwest of Syracuse. This is all south of US 50, east of US 65. That is the location that we are tracking all of these severe thunderstorm warnings. We also had a storm earlier that had we did have a severe thunderstorm warning across Harrisonville. That has now expired, and the storm has also moved out of the area. It is now moving into Holden and Madison, just to the west of Warrensburg. This storm does still have a special weather statement for small hail and 40-mile-per-hour winds, but at this point in time, the special weather statement, we're not concerned about anything severe. So this storm is below severe limits, which means that we are no longer concerned about severe damage from that particular storm, but still a very impactful storm. We're still getting some strong winds. We're still going to have some lightning, some thunder, some heavy rain. All of that's still going to be a possibility, but again, at this point in time, we're not dealing with anything severe out of that particular warning. Our main severe threat is along this complex of storms that is ongoing across just to the south of Interstate 70, southwest of Columbia, west of Jefferson City, northwest of Lake of the Ozarks. So that's the current location of these thunderstorms that are currently severe at this point in time. So, all right, let's go ahead and we're going to move out to a more regional view. So there's our thunderstorms. We've got some non-severe showers and thunderstorms moving through Moberly at this point in time, also into Jacksonville, up to Macon, and then it kind of the cutoff is around Kirksville, just to the south of Kirksville. That's kind of the cutoff for these storms. Once again, these are not severe. These are not severe. The only ones that are severe are these right here between Sedalia, Jefferson City, and Columbia. Those are the current storms that are severe at this point in time. The rest of them are non-severe thunderstorms. That's what we're dealing with across Missouri. Let's see, we've also got ongoing storms across Wisconsin, flash flood warnings across the Green Bay area. So, good news is none of these storms in Wisconsin are severe. So all of the Wisconsin storms are below severe limits, but we do still have lots of flooding that is ongoing across this region. We also talked about before the top of the hour how there was a dam release that took place in Manatee, Michigan, in western Michigan. So that was something else that took place. And then we've got a few active severe thunderstorm warnings across Michigan and some storms around the Erie area as well. So besides the storms that we're dealing with here in Missouri, the only other severe storms are across Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Those are the only other severe storms at this point in time besides the storms that we have been showing you here in the state of Missouri. We also still do have an active severe thunderstorm watch that remains in effect across Iowa, Wisconsin, and Michigan. This remains in effect until 4 a.m. Central Time, and then for the areas in Eastern Time Zone, it remains in effect until 5 a.m. So 4 a.m. Tuesday, Central Time, 5 a.m. across Michigan for Eastern Time. So that is what we're dealing with at this point in time. So ongoing severe thunderstorm watches remain in effect across Wisconsin as well as into Michigan and Iowa. So we're still dealing with that. So severe storms ongoing across those areas. All right, let's go ahead and let's get an update on our current severe thunderstorm warnings. So we've still got 3 warnings across our viewing area at this point in time. So let's get a closer look at those warnings here. We still do have the warning that remains in effect for just to the north of Warsaw. So this is north of Warsaw, still in effect for northern Benton County until 11:15 p.m. So 60-mile-per-hour winds and nickel-size hail. There is also a tornado possible tag with that particular severe thunderstorm warning. Then, just to the east of there, we've had an extension on that warning that includes Benton and Morgan counties until 11:45 for 60-mile-per-hour winds and nickel-size hail. This storm also has a tornado possible tag. The possible tornado is just to the northwest of Versailles, but at this point in time, we don't have any reason to believe that it's on the ground. So, of course, that is the good news with that one. Then, just to the north of that, north of US north of US 50, but to the south of Interstate 70, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for Pettis and Cooper counties until 11:45. This goes in effect for 60-mile-per-hour winds and some penny-sized hail. There is not a tornado possible tag with this northernmost warning. That is only for these 2 warnings, or we could be looking at the rotation. And again, the latest check of the radar showed us that it's just to the northwest of Versailles. That is where we're possibly dealing with that rotation that could be a tornadic storm. So we're going to be watching that very closely to see if this storm does rotate. Let's go to the velocities to get a better look at what we are seeing here across this region here. So nothing too strong, although we are at kind of a rough spot for velocities. Yeah, again, possibly around Florence. Okay, so here's that Boeing segment right here. That's where we're going to be experiencing those 60-mile-per-hour winds. And then again, there's a little bit of rotation right here, but that is definitely not on the ground. Yeah, this is dead. So again, possible tornado, but at this point in time, I have no reason to believe that this is on the ground. So that is certainly really good news. All right, so we just had a new severe thunderstorm warning that was issued, including Jamestown, California, and Tipton. This is an extension on the previous warnings. This goes for Montauk County in Missouri. This severe thunderstorm warning was issued. This is actually kind of funny. We have severe thunderstorm warnings from um, Pleasant Hill, St. Louis, and Springfield. That's why everything's so complicated. That's why we have so many different warnings and so many different things happening. That's why it's so complicated because we have three different National Weather Service offices that are issuing these warnings. So this is a new severe thunderstorm warning for Montauk counties until midnight Central Time at 11:11 p.m. A severe thunderstorm was located 12 miles southwest of Tipton, moving east at 35 miles per hour, 60-mile-per-hour winds. We are no longer looking at a hail threat with this storm, so that of course is good. But there is also a tornado possible tag with the severe thunderstorm warning that has now been issued for Montauk County. So there's a new severe thunderstorm warning. It will soon pop up on the radar. Again, it includes Tipton in California along US 50. Let's see if, yeah, there it is. There's our new severe thunderstorm warning in Montauk County. This is now just to the west of Jefferson City, to the southwest of Columbia. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Montauk County's 60-mile-per-hour winds. Again, tornado possible tag. This is the main area of concern when it comes to that rotation. And so when we look at the velocities here, there's our area of rotation. Again, this is a pretty broad area of rotation, so it's very unlikely that this is on the ground at this point in time. But even if this isn't a tornado, which again, it doesn't appear to be at this point in time, we are still looking at the potential for 60-mile-per-hour winds, which that can cause some damage. So roofs, sidings, trees, all of that could be looking at damage as we go into the next several minutes here across that region. And wow, severe thunderstorm warnings are just popping up left and right. Look at this. We have a new warning that has just been issued. So this is the same storm that we were just looking at 15 minutes ago for Harrisonville that has now regained strength, and now it goes for Johnson County. Johnson County is now under a severe thunderstorm warning until 11:45 p.m. At 11:12 p.m. Central Daylight Time. A severe thunderstorm was located over Holden, moving east at 40 miles per hour. This is a radar indicated threat. The main hazards with this particular warning are 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. So you'll want to make sure to move into an interior space on the lowest level of the building because, again, some strong gusty winds could lead to some damage across this region here. So let's go ahead and get some new information on this warning here. So just showing you this warning goes in effect until 11:45 p.m. for Johnson County. Again, 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail with hail damage to vehicles, wind damage to roofs, sidings, and trees. Locations impacted include Warrensburg, Holden, Leeton, and Centerview. This is just to the south of Warrensburg. Warrensburg, you are currently not under this severe thunderstorm warning at this point in time. But again, it is still something that we are watching very closely across that region here. So again, newly issued severe thunderstorm warning for Johnson County, just to the south of Warrensburg, for some large hail and some straight line winds possible. So we're dealing with that. And then currently at this point in time, we have three. This one has just expired. Yes. The warning that we had right there just expired. Yeah, so this warning has now expired, the one that was including Lincoln, so that area is no longer under a warning. But we do still have four active severe thunderstorm warnings. We have the warning that goes in effect for Johnson County that was newly issued just to the south of Warrensburg, producing the hail and wind. And then we have three active severe thunderstorm warnings, two of which have a tornado possible tag along this complex of storms that is now moving closer towards Jefferson City. Jefferson City will likely see this storm within the next hour or so, and then the storm is passing just to the southwest of Columbia along Interstate 70. So all of these severe storms currently at this point in time are south of Interstate 70. So again, warnings just popping up left and right here as the severe weather threat continues on this Monday evening, a multi-day severe weather threat that will be with us as we go not only for this evening, but also as we go into Tuesday, as well as Wednesday, and also into Friday. The only day during the work week that you're not going to have a severe weather threat is going to be on your Thursday. But tonight, we're still dealing with the active severe warnings that we've been showing you. Then we've got that threat as we go into the rest of this week here. All right. We will now move into our next brief intermission. And we are back here on GWP Live Severe Weather Coverage. It is still Monday, April 13th, 2026. It's about 11:25 p.m. Central Daylight Time, and we are still tracking the ongoing severe weather that is going on across central Missouri here. This includes the northern portion of our viewing areas. We have some active severe thunderstorm warnings at this point in time. We've got 4 active warnings across the region, one across just to the south of Warrensburg, where we've been seeing some hail out of this storm. It has a history of producing some hail, as it produced some hail around Harrisonville earlier this evening, and then now it has regained strength to the point where we have a new warning. And then we've also got a line of storms that is a little bit more threatening here across central Missouri, where we're dealing with the possibility of a tornado within these storms here. So we've got 3 active severe or excuse me, 4 active, 3 warnings here just to the southwest of Columbia and west of Jefferson City, where these storms are ongoing at this point in time. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at some of the latest information that we have on these new, or not necessarily new severe thunderstorm warnings, but still the active storms that we're watching. So here's that Boeing line that we're watching. Again, both of these 2 tornado warnings, the ones to the south and east, those have a tornado possible tag with them. And we do have kind of a hook that's starting to develop. So we're going to have to watch this very closely. Could be looking at some sort of rotation in this area. Are we? Well, let's take a closer look at the velocities. This helps to show us the wind direction. And it appears at this point in time, we are a little bit too far away from the radar site from Pleasant Hill. And let's see if we can get anything from, so again, a little bit difficult to tell just based on our location from the radar site itself, whether or not we have rotation. This is kind of a dead zone right in here across just to the southwest of Columbia. Sometimes this area can be a little bit spotty, but a little bit of rotation in there just to the southwest of California. So we'll be watching that very closely for the possibility of some rotation. Because again, if we do start to see signs of rotation, then this severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado possible tag may be upgraded to a tornado warning. So of course, that would be something that we will watch for very closely in the coming minutes here to see what the update is. Let's see. The latest that we had from the Montauk severe thunderstorm warning was at 11:11 when it was first issued. Severe thunderstorm was located 12 miles southwest of Tipton, moving east at 35 miles per hour. That does include California and Jamestown and Tipton there just west of Jefferson City. So that area is under the warning. And then we've got Benton and Morgan counties under that warning until 11:45. That's this one to the south. And that goes for 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as some nickel-sized hail. Again, there's also a tornado possible tag within that warning. At 10:57, a severe thunderstorm was located near Cole Camp, or 14 miles west of Versailles, moving east at 40 miles per hour. Then we also have this warning across Pettis County, which has just now expired. So the good news is this warning in Pettis County will soon be expiring at 11:30 p.m. So that'll leave us down to 3 warnings. And then we've still got this active warning that we're tracking very closely just to the south of the Warrensburg area. This goes in effect for Johnson counties. The latest update was at 11:26 p.m. The severe thunderstorm was located near Warrensburg, moving east at 35 miles per hour. The hazards are going to be 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-sized hail. This is a radar-indicated threat. We're looking at hail damage to vehicles as expected. Wind damage to roofs, sidings, and trees are going to be possible. Locations impacted under this warning in Johnson County include Warrensburg and Centerview. So Warrensburg and Centerview, you are under this severe thunderstorm warning until 11:45 for winds of 60 miles per hour, as well as some large hail. All of that is going to be a possibility with that particular storm. So we've still got that warning, and then we've got this line right here again with the main threat along this line of storms being 60-mile-per-hour winds. And again, it's going to be along this line right here, along the leading edge of the line. That's where we're going to be watching for possibility of some straight line winds here. And again, maybe even a couple of embedded tornadoes within this line are going to be possible. So there it is. So it's just west of US 54. Then it extends further to the north towards US 50. Whoops. Right here, just to the west of Jefferson City and moving along that line. So this is the line right here that we are concerned about that is moving further towards the south and east, eventually Jefferson City. You will be dealing with the impacts of these storms. It's not necessarily a matter of if you're going to get these storms, it's a matter of what sort of impacts will you get once they arrive. Will these storms still be severe warned, or will they have weakened below severe limits? That story remains to be seen at this point in time. And it is now the bottom of the hour here. It is 11:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time here on GWP Live's severe weather coverage. It's Monday, April 13th, and we are still tracking some of the ongoing severe storms across our country here, particularly across the local viewing area. We've had some ongoing storms across Michigan and Wisconsin this evening. Most of those have gone below severe limits, although we do have a couple of warnings ongoing, one to the northwest of Madison, Wisconsin, one to the east of Mason City. We've also had some ongoing flash flood warnings across central Wisconsin as well, and some storms around Pennsylvania and Ohio around Lake Erie. But the storms that we're tracking closely in our viewing area are across central Missouri, just to the west of Jefferson City, where we still have 4 active severe thunderstorm warnings that remain in effect over the next 15 to 30 minutes for the risk of 60-mile-per-hour winds and some small hail. So the strong straight line winds, that's going to be our main concern along this complex of storms, as well as that individual storm around the Warrensburg area. But our other concern is the 2 southernmost severe thunderstorm warnings along US 50 and points south. Those are also have a tornado possible tag. So that is something that we need to watch very closely. And okay, so good news is we just had an update for the Morgan County severe thunderstorm warning. Let's get a closer look at that. This is the one, wrong radar. Let's get a closer look at that across the Versailles area. Versailles is under severe thunderstorm warning. This is Morgan County, not that one. This one right here that goes in effect until 11:45. A new update just came into us. At 11:29 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located over Versailles. So exactly what we're seeing on the radar, over Versailles, moving east at 45 miles per hour. There's that leading edge of the storm where we're looking at those 60-mile-per-hour winds. This is a radar-indicated threat. Damage to roofs, sidings, and trees are going to be possible. Locations impacted. The locations that are under this warning until 11:45 include Versailles, which is currently being hit by these storms, and then Barnett and Syracuse. Those are the other areas that are under this Morgan County severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect until 11:45. New information from the National Weather Service in Springfield shows that we no longer have a tornado possible tag with this storm. So straight line winds is now the only threat that we're concerned about with this storm that does include Versailles and into Barnett. Then just to the northeast of that, along this same complex, we do still have a severe thunderstorm warning for Montauk counties for 60-mile-per-hour winds. This one, there still is a tornado possible tag. So tornado possible tag with that severe thunderstorm warning in Montauk counties. And okay, that was just removed. We're getting information in so rapidly sometimes. So here's the latest on the Montauk severe thunderstorm warning. The Montauk, this is the Cooper County warning. Yes, this is just one moment here. That's the Cooper County warning, but the Montauk County, okay, the new information was on the Cooper County. This one right here. This is the warning we have the new information on. 60-mile-per-hour winds, penny-sized hail at 11:26 p.m. Severe thunderstorms were located along extending 7 miles southeast of Boonville to near Clarksburg to Tipton, moving east at 50 miles per hour. So this is the latest that we have on that warning that goes in effect until 11:45. So the Morgan and Cooper County severe thunderstorm warnings, which is this one and this one, remain in effect until 11:45, and the Montauk severe thunderstorm warning to the east of that remains in effect until midnight, and that one is just to the west of Jefferson City. Then, of course, we are also tracking very closely the ongoing Johnson County severe thunderstorm warning. This also goes until 11:45. At 11:26, a severe thunderstorm was located near Warrensburg, moving east at 35 miles per hour. This goes for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. This is also a radar-indicated threat, which is what all of these are. So all of the current warnings that we have at this point in time are radar-indicated. Something else that's a little bit concerning is that we do have a bit of a hook that's starting to develop on this storm. So that's something we need to watch. Let's go to the velocities here. Okay, so we don't really have any rotation on this. A little bit of broad rotation just to the south of Warrensburg, but this is very unlikely to be producing a funnel cloud or tornado at this point in time. But still something we're going to watch. Anytime that you get that hook shape, that's always something that we really watch out for. But currently, at this point in time, we have no indication to believe that there is a tornado with that storm. We do have a stronger storm that has been developing across the Windsor area, just to the west of this line. So that's something we're going to watch for. Just a few of these additional storms that are popping up to the west of our line. That's something that we'll have to watch for as we go through the rest of this evening. All right, so we've got the latest scan of the radar here showing that we've still got 3 active severe thunderstorm warnings. We've got the one for Cooper County until 11:45, the one for, so there's Cooper County, 11:45, and then Montauk counties, including Jamestown, California, and Tipton until midnight, and then Syracuse, Versailles, and Barnett is still under a severe thunderstorm warning until 11:45. So those are the active warnings that we are dealing with at this point in time. So going out more regionally across the state of Missouri, we've still got some showers and some thunderstorms that have been developing across the Moberly, Missouri area. We've also got some showers that are starting to move into the Columbia area as well, but none of these storms north of Interstate 70 are currently severe warned at this point in time. So all of these storms along US 63 are just showers and thunderstorms, nothing that we need to be concerned about. The ones that we need to be watching very closely are the ones that are south of Interstate 70 in our viewing area just to the west of Jefferson City that we have been highlighting. Also, further to the north, still some ongoing flash flood warnings around the Green Bay areas. Not many changes there. We do still have a severe thunderstorm warning across Iowa as well as into southern Wisconsin. And then we do have a newly issued warning. Got a pretty impressive hailstorm developing along US 131 across western Michigan. And then it looks like a couple of other storms around Lake Erie, as well as into northeastern Michigan. So that's what we're currently dealing with at this point in time outside of the local viewing areas. That is what we're currently. Not really a whole lot of changes at this point in time. Of course, we also had a tornado watch before the top of the hour. That has now been able to expire, but a severe thunderstorm watch does remain in effect until 4 a.m. Central, 5 a.m. Eastern Time across the Great Lakes. We will now move into an intermission. And we are back here. You are listening to GWP Live's severe weather coverage here. So we're still tracking some ongoing severe weather here across the country and mainly across the state of Missouri as well. That's where our central focus has been on this evening, as we have multiple active severe thunderstorm warnings that are ongoing here across central Missouri. So let's go ahead and take you into the latest of what we know. Severe thunderstorm warning still remains in effect just to the south of Warrensburg. So that's something that we've been watching for, some hail and some winds. Let's see if we can get some new information on that. At 11:26 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near Warrensburg, moving east at 35 miles per hour. Our main threats are going to be 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. Again, this is for Johnson County. Hail damage to vehicles is going to be possible, as well as wind damage to roofs, sidings, and trees. So it's located around the Warrensburg area. It goes in effect until 11:45 p.m. Central Time. Again, hail and winds are going to be the big concern along US 50. And then we're also looking at a few severe thunderstorm warnings that are active here just to the southwest of Columbia and west of Jefferson City that we've been tracking. We've still got a severe thunderstorm warning around the Versailles area. That remains in effect across Morgan County at 11:29 p.m. A severe thunderstorm was located over Versailles, moving east at 45 miles per hour. The main threats are going to be 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and nickel-sized hail. So this is for a radar indicated threat, so we're watching that storm very closely. And then we've also got a severe thunderstorm warning ongoing across Cooper County until 11:45 for winds of 60-mile-per-hour winds, and then penny-sized hail as well. And then a severe thunderstorm warning in effect along US 50, just west of Jefferson City, including Tipton, Jamestown, and California. This goes in effect until midnight. The latest on this one, at 11:39 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near High Point, or 7 miles southwest of California, moving 40 miles east. Our main concern is 60-mile-per-hour winds. Locations impacted include Tipton, Lantham, Clarksburg, High Point, California, and Jamestown and Sandy Hook. Those areas are under a severe thunderstorm warning until midnight. The good news is we are no longer looking at a tornado possible tag in association with this severe thunderstorm. So that is the really good news that we have, or really the newest information that we have at this point in time. All right, we just got an update on the Johnson County severe thunderstorm warning on that isolated cell around Warrensburg. The newest information is the severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 11:45 will expire and will not be extended. So that, of course, is good news. This storm has weakened below severe limits south of Warrensburg and will no longer be severe warned as of, well, in 2 minutes and at 11:45. That is when that warning will be expiring there in the Warrensburg areas. Of course, that is good news. And then we also have the Cooper County warning that will be expiring very soon, as well as the Morgan County warning, which we just had an extension for the Morgan County warning, this one right here. But the good news is it's now below severe limits. A special weather statement was issued for Miller and Morgan counties for 40-mile-per-hour winds. So yes, this storm is definitely starting to weaken quite a bit as it makes its way towards Jefferson City. So that's the one that we are concerned about at this point in time. Again, has now been just a special weather statement has now been issued for Eldon for 40-mile-per-hour winds, which means that the Morgan County warning will expire and has weakened below severe limits. So, again, definitely some good news that we've had just within the last few minutes here, as we've had multiple of our warnings that we did have that have just expired. So let's see. So again, this one and this one are set to expire and will not be extended. We also know that the Cooper County warning will be expiring very soon. That one could be extended. We still do not have any word at this point in time of whether or not that warning will be extended. All right, we're going to come back to this in just a couple minutes, but I want to give the National Weather Service some time to update those warnings before we go into more details. So So yeah, we still have severe thunderstorm warning in northeastern Iowa, east of Mason City, and then we've got a warning to the northwest of Madison in southern Wisconsin. So still dealing with some active severe weather. I mean, this is where a lot of our severe weather has been today. Really, what developed over the last few hours in Missouri really wasn't anticipated to happen, and was kind of a different. It was kind of um, it was outside of the main area that we were concerned about today. So that's kind of what we saw today. But this has really been the main area of concern. So we've had some flash flood warnings ongoing across Wisconsin, and then we've still got some warnings ongoing across Michigan as well as into Pennsylvania. Looks like we just had a new warning issued um, just to the northwest of Oil City there in Pennsylvania. So a couple of storms still firing up across those areas. All right, so now it's 11:45, so we just had three severe thunderstorm warnings expire, and all three of them were not extended. So that is always good news. When your warnings are just starting to expire but not be reissued, that is good. So this map is a little bit behind, but this one is gone. This one is gone, and this one is gone and has been replaced by a special weather statement in this area. It's actually more like this area. Yeah, kind of in, well, yeah, it was actually in this area. That's the area. Special weather statement, 40-mile-per-hour winds. But again, this is below severe limits. This warning is gone. This warning is gone. This one is gone. This one remains in effect until midnight, including California. That warning goes until midnight for 60-mile-per-hour winds. But again, it was previously, there was a tornado possible tag that has now expired, or that has now been dropped. So that is, of course, good news as well. So just lots of good news coming into us here at 11:45 as a lot of these storms are starting to weaken. Although I will say they are definitely a lot weaker than they were just a little bit ago when we were tracking them. We are still dealing with some rain and storms moving into the Columbia area at this point in time. So that is something that we're still watching very closely here with those showers and storms now moving into this area. Currently, Columbia is not under a warning. Jefferson City is not under a warning. So those areas at this point in time are currently in the clear. So we'll have to see if that remains to be the case across those regions. All right. So as we mentioned, today is not the only day that we're dealing with severe weather. We will have a severe weather threat tomorrow. That means that there may be another GWP severe weather live stream. Also, something else that I wanted to mention, there is always a possibility that severe weather may develop before we're actually able to set up the live stream. And in that event, we will send out posts through the YouTube channel. So in the event that that does happen, we almost did that today, but then we came on live. But in the event that that does happen, there will be posts sent out through the GWP or the Great World Productions YouTube channel will send out a post that'll update you on watches and warnings. Again, that's any time that we're dealing with severe weather across our region and we're not live. So we might do that for one of two reasons. Either one, we're not able to set up the live stream at that particular time, or two, if there's only one warning across the area, we may just send out a notification for that and not necessarily do a live stream. So that is something to keep in mind. The other thing is that we will be transitioning later this spring severe weather season, possibly within the next couple of weeks, where we will be doing some live stream shorts or some video shorts on YouTube that will give you quicker, just kind of short little updates that you need to know. That's particularly when we don't have a lot of severe weather, but we just have one or two warnings. So that's something else that we will be transitioning to sometime within the next few weeks or so. But again, until then, we'll still be doing our live streams here. Again, severe weather risk going into tomorrow, enhanced risk, but the worst of the threat is going to be to our north, but we still have that slight risk for severe storms as we go into tomorrow, and that goes for the afternoon and evening hours. So you'll want to make sure to stay weather aware as we go into tomorrow, but also into Wednesday. Severe weather risk is not just for tomorrow, it's also for Wednesday as well as into Friday. So that's something that we're going to be watching. The highest chance for rain and thunderstorms is going to be on Wednesday. That's per the weather story from the National Weather Service in Springfield. They put that out earlier this evening, explaining that again, our highest risk is going to be as we go into Wednesday when it comes to showers and storms. But we do have that severe weather risk for Tuesday and Wednesday with that slight risk affecting us here in the state of Missouri. All right, so now we're going to get a quick update here on the latest radar. So here's what we're looking at. So again, we've got one active severe thunderstorm warning at this point in time that does include Montauk counties. Here's the latest at 11:39 p.m. A severe thunderstorm was located near High Point, or 7 miles southwest of California, moving to the east at 40 miles per hour. The main concern with this storm is going to be 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Also, we did have a special weather statement that was issued across the Eldon area where we've got the risk of 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts, but again, that is below severe limits. So that, of course, is the good news with these storms. So bad news is these storms are moving into a more populated area with Jefferson City. The good news is they're weakening, and they will likely make it below severe limits by the time they make it into the Jefferson City area if the trend that we've been on in the last 20 minutes continues. And again, it appears that we are on that weakening trend here with these severe thunderstorms across central Missouri. All right, we will be taking another brief intermission. We will be back before the top of the hour. All right, and we are back here on our GWP Live severe weather coverage. It's Monday, April 13th, 2026, and we're still tracking some ongoing thunderstorms across the immediate viewing region here, as we do have an ongoing severe thunderstorm warning for Montauk counties for 60-mile-per-hour winds. That storm now just to the west of Jefferson City. It just moved through the California area and is now moving into Jefferson City, as we mentioned, within the next 20 or 30 minutes. Currently, at this point in time, the National Weather Service offices have not decided to extend this warning. And based on what I've been looking at from just the cloud tops as well as some of the velocities, I don't have any reason to believe that they will extend it. I would be very surprised. I would say it's possible that a special weather statement, which is below severe limits, I would not be surprised if that was issued for Jefferson City, but even that's probably not going to happen. So I mean, that's a possibility, I would say. But I really doubt at this point in time that we're looking at severe winds. I mean, I have to say, it is very likely that this warning will, and yes, okay, so we just got new information on the Montauk severe thunderstorm warning. The storm which prompted the warning has weakened below severe limits, so it is no longer posing threat to life and property. So yes, so the National Weather Service does plan on letting this warning expire and does not plan on extending it. So that is certainly good news. So again, will we see some heavy thunderstorms in the next few minutes across Columbia and Jefferson City? Oh, definitely. I've already seen big flashes of lightning and I've heard some thunder, and we'll get some heavy amounts of rain across those highly populated areas. But as far as any severe damage, any winds or hail or anything like that, not going to be a concern. As again, that warning will be expiring at around midnight. So that is the good news with that. And again, that likely will be the end of our severe weather that we're going to be dealing with for this evening. So we will be coming to a close very soon here on GWP Live. Very soon we will be ending our live stream. So if you have any last minute questions, make sure to put those down in the comments below, or make sure to call our GWP media line as well, 417-448-0819. So that's something you can do, because if you want to be live on the air, you only have 3 minutes left in order to do so. Because at midnight, unless we have some breaking news at midnight, we will be ending the live stream at midnight. So that seems to be our plan at this point in time. So since we're pretty much about done here, we're just going to show you, we're just going to do an overview of the current weather that we're dealing with. So again, severe thunderstorm watch, Wisconsin, Michigan, those areas, severe weather threat's going to continue during the overnight hours. So if you know anybody up there, maybe give them a buzz before you go to bed tonight, because we're definitely going to be dealing with some powerful storms there across the Great Lakes as we go through this evening. Even some flood concerns as well. We had that dam break that took, or not, the dam release that took place in western Michigan. So of course that could lead to some flooding. So some flood concerns across that region as we go through the rest of this evening. We do still have that severe weather risk for today. Storm Prediction Center, or it looks like we've now gone into the next day here. So, but again, we've got enhanced risk for severe weather across Iowa, Wisconsin, and Illinois. That's going to be the worst area for severe weather, at least that highest risk as we go into tomorrow. But we do still have a slight risk here across the state of Missouri, and that extends down to the Texas-Mexican border here. Tornado risk is going to be overall pretty low, but winds and then hail. Hail is going to be the big threat as we go into tomorrow. We cannot emphasize that enough here across the state of Missouri. On Wednesday, severe threat continues with, once again, a slight risk from the Storm Prediction Center. The same thing can be said as we go into Friday, as the western portion of our region is once again going to be looking at a severe risk as we go into Friday. So severe storms on tomorrow, severe storms Wednesday, severe storms on Friday is going to be expected. And so again, kind of getting a little bit closer in the viewing area. Again, slight risk, hail up to the size of golf balls, damaging winds of 60 miles per hour. And then again, a tornado if possible is going to be, or a tornado or two is going to be possible. And then the same thing can be said as we go into Wednesday, with overall Wednesday being the highest risk for showers and thunderstorms, at least the highest chance of rain. The storms that we're going to have tomorrow, most of them are going to be during the overnight hours. But again, into the overnight hours, going through Wednesday, higher chances for precipitation. We're going to get a break as we go into Thursday, and then storm chances return during the evening hours on Friday. So don't let your guard down on Friday, even though we have a break on Thursday and most of the day on Friday. So that's something we need to watch very closely. As far as that risk for flooding, slight risk across Wisconsin and Michigan. Tomorrow's risk is about the same, but it now does include us here in Missouri as we go into Tuesday. Wednesday still includes us. Nobody under that risk on Thursday, but then it returns on Friday with that marginal flood risk here across most of the state of Missouri as we go into Friday. Of course, with that rainfall forecast, this does not include the rainfall that we've had the last couple of days, but almost 9 inches of rainfall have fallen here in Nevada and Columbia, and the forecast is that a couple more inches of rainfall is going to be possible as we have repeated rounds of showers and thunderstorms, some of them severe at times, over the next couple of days. And so that, of course, is going to be the big thing that we're going to be tracking for very closely. So now we're going to look at a regional update on our thunderstorms before we leave. Again, a couple of severe storms across Pennsylvania ongoing. Then we've got northwestern Michigan, we've got the flooding, and then a few storms developing here across central Wisconsin. These will be moving into Madison, Wisconsin within the next hour or so. So that's something that we'll be watching closely across that region. And then again, we've even got a few storms ongoing here across the region here across central Missouri. As let's see here. So we still have that one severe thunderstorm warning and it just expired. So the Montauk severe thunderstorm warning has just expired. California, your warning, California, Missouri, Jamestown, even though you're still seeing some heavy showers and thunderstorms, our severe threat has now dropped. But some heavy thunderstorms will soon move into Jefferson City. They just moved into Columbia, where I'm at, and then Lake of the Ozarks, Eldon could still see some gusty winds, 30, 40 miles per hour, heavy thunderstorms over the next 20 or 30 minutes. But within the next half hour, these storms will move out of our viewing area, and really our severe weather risk will be over with after that. All right, well, that is it for this evening on GWP Live's severe weather coverage. Have a great evening. Stay